So, kind of we rejoin you guys, having just set off from the kind of safe house DuPont had left you with, kind of on the outskirts of Illyris. The trip back has been quiet. There hasn't been much in a way of talking. People kind of reflecting on what's just happened. Quiniel is kind of still with you, but again, he's seemingly lost in thought as you go on. But as you kind of ride, you make sure to kind of keep Yendorn's linen wrapped body kind of carefully watched, so that the body's still in good condition. It takes you a little longer to get back this time, but the roads are calm. You don't have any trouble getting back. So on the fourth day, you kind of see those familiar walls of home, kind of rising up in the distance. And as you draw near to the gates, somebody obviously spots you, and you can kind of see the portcullis being opened. The training is still ongoing. These recruits are kind of really now starting to look kind of like competent fighters. But as you kind of draw into the courtyard, you kind of get a kind of cursory wave from a few of them. But you notice that Yenva kind of looks up and kind of seems to notice that Quiniel is with you. But then you can kind of see the realization strike her as she kind of counts the remainder of you, and then her eyes are drawn to the kind of package that's draped over one of the horses. You kind of see her have a quick word with Sarster, who proceeds to kind of take over the training, and she makes her way over to you guys. Quiniel, I'm glad to see you. Is that... And she kind of gestures to the wrapped package. Is that who I think it is?
Yeah, we got a Quiniel back, but it came at Yendorn's life.
You can kind of see that Quiniel has got his head a bit downcast at this. He clearly feels some degree of guilt in this. Oh, by God, no. If I'd have known you were going after him, I would have volunteered to come. I'm so sorry.
Admittedly, I think we bit off a little bit more than we could chew. We weren't expecting it to be quite as bad as it was. We thought we could handle it.
Well, I'll tell the others we should make the preparations. You can, Triss, actually kind of roll me an insight there.
What a roll.
6.
That would be 13.
So you can kind of tell that Yenna's trying to keep a kind of composed exterior, but as she kind of turns a little too quickly, you kind of catch a glimpse of a little tear starting to well up in the corner of her eye as she kind of moves away, and kind of you can see her go into the quartermaster's shop, probably to tell Herodias the news. But the rest of the training is kind of still ongoing. The recruits have kind of been kept busy, at least, so as almost to avoid kind of crowding around and maybe harassing you guys with kind of questions and that kind of sort of thing. But you guys are able to kind of lead your horses to where they're stabled without any further distraction. By this point, it's probably getting on for about 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
What should we do with the body? They'll ask to no one in particular.
Is there a medical area or a chapel or something?
There's not specifically as such a medical bay or a chapel. There is the Great Hall. Tends to act like the communal gathering point, but it tends not to be used in day-to-day kind of occurrences.
Did Yendorn ever mention being part of a religious body? Any specifics? Because it may be worth writing to them and informing them of his death.
So you know that his god, kind of Elidinus, kind of does have a temple, but you don't remember him actually kind of listing a specific monastery to you. It's a large enough faith that, you know, there are quite a few kind of chapters scattered throughout the world.
Okay, I think Torek would go off to try and draft up a letter to one of them at least. Am I getting a bit of echo from someone?
I can hear some background noise. But,
anyway, just writing to a generic chapel saying that, you know, one of your numbers have perished. Please make any religious ceremonies you deem necessary in respect to your beliefs to this kind of thing.
okay, so you want to kind of have them arrange the funeral, do you?
Well, and also, like, if they had, and my thoughts were along the line of he was a cleric for their order, so if they had any like state of prayers of remembrance or anything like that for him.
Okay, so you go away and kind of put pen to paper on this letter. After a few drafts, you find out, or you find yourself with a letter that you're satisfied with.
Awesome. I'll have this sent off when the next. Post isn't really a thing in this world. I've just realised it's more of a hazard occupation.
Yeah, post tends to travel with the big caravans, which makes it sporadic at best.
Well,
unreliable.
If we ever bump into one that doesn't contain slaves, we'll do it.
Okay, so you kind of pocket this letter for now with the intent of passing it on when the occasion arises.
We should inform Rock if he's around. And make the arrangements for the funeral.
So while you guys are discussing this, you kind of do see Yenva kind of come out of Herodius's office with him in tow. And he kind of quickly spots you guys in the stable and makes his way over. I'm sorry, I've just heard about Yendon. Words can't really express it, but if you like, I can start putting together the pyre. We can clear these lot, and he kind of gestures to the trainees out of the courtyard in no time. This obviously takes precedence.
That would be ideal. We've been travelling for a few days.
Yes, of course, that's understandable. I'll kind of grab a few of them to help me move all the wood into position and bring out the tankards. But again, he doesn't really look any of you in the eyes. You can see he's kind of awkward because he obviously wasn't there, doesn't know anything about what happened. I'll see to it. It kind of backs out the door, kind of into the corner. You can see him kind of pick two big-looking recruits, kind of gesture for them to follow him. But the others kind of quickly stop their swords practice, and you can see them kind of get shepherded back towards the barracks block.
Well, we should take him inside and prepare the body.
So, sorry,
Remember
carry on.
his prayers or anything? Is there anything that we could actually say over his body from his religious order? I know that Tarek's trying to send word to them, but by the time they get back, it's going to be far too late.
Is all of Yendorn's effects still on him, or have we bagged them up, kind of thing?
Well, everything he kind of had would still be in his pack. Nobody really mentioned anything specific about kind of rifling through it, but you would have kind of brought them along with you.
I'll take a look for his prayer book.
So as you open his pack, you kind of have a rifle through it. And kind of one of the things stored nearest to the top is kind of quite clearly a well thumbed book of some sort. And kind of opening it, you see on kind of the inside cover the all too familiar symbol of Elidinus, the kind of circle with the two waved lines. And then in kind of Elvish, you can see that there are prayers throughout the book. Obviously, you can kind of read some of these. And some of them seem to be kind of your more generic, kind of everyday prayers. There are a few kind of more kind of occasional ones, and you find a couple of them that look suitable.
Is there anything in there as well, more specifically about funeral rites for Elidinus and how you would go about doing that kind of thing? Or?
So they're quite a widespread sect, cult of Elidinus, and it doesn't actually list anything specific. Only that prayers are said, and that the dead are kind of properly sent off in a way deemed fit. Although it doesn't go into specifics, just something that would be kind of acceptable for the culture practicing it.
Sure. Not just dumping him and leaving him.
Yeah, kind of the ditch approach is probably not going to be fulfilling of those criteria.
Okay.
So while you were kind of sorting out his affairs, kind of Herodius's kind of helpers and him start dragging in some kind of rather large logs, and see they're starting to build this kind of pyre. By now, a few of the kind of brighter recruits have kind of figured out what's going on, and you can see kind of the odd face or so looking through the doorway of the barracks. No doubt its word is going to spread quite quickly. So you wanted to tell Hrock, did you?
Yeah, if he's here or if he's still in.
Yep. So, his quarters and kind of workplace is kind of in the main citadel. So, you guys, I'm presuming you're all going to follow Rule into this.
Yeah.
So you kind of cross the main bridge leading to this kind of inner sanctum and enter through a great hall, and you can see at the head of the table. Sorry, kind of the main table. You could see that Ron Fan is kind of sat, kind of in his chair, But to the chair to his left that Rock usually occupies is kind of still vacant here. However, you can see that Ronfan's talking to a group of three kind of individuals you don't recognize. You can see they're all kind of plated up and armored, weapons at their hips. But as the door opens and they turn, you notice that all three of them, somewhere on their armor, has the kind of insignia of a kind of a raised blue hand. But Ronfan kind of pipes up quite quickly. I'm sorry, you lost. Can it wait? I'm just dealing with these gentlemen here.
Before I say anything, do I recognize the symbol?
Roll me a history check.
That's an 8.
Adds Torix, whatever the bonus is for history rolls.
Oh yeah, what is it?
Oh, that's equal to proficiency.
11.
So you've kind of heard of these guys before. They're another Slayers Guild, kind of located kind of in northeastern Parfunas. If you kind of follow me to the map, I'll point it out. So they're kind of located over here, and they're kind of known as the right hand of Azura. They're a Slayers Guild, but kind of originated from a kind of a religious order. They're kind of well respected, and there's a good deal of kind of rumors and myths and legends about their deeds. They're quite well liked, definitely in Parfunas anyway.
Okay.
But yeah, Ronfan is kind of seems to be quite irritated by the disturbance.
Forgive the intrusion, Ronfan, but we have news. We have returned with a Quinial.
Oh, a Quinial? You've managed to find the damn rascal's soul? Well, you people never fail to surprise me. Well, that's glorious news. I'll make sure that we can spare a little bit of the Treasury's funds for a suitable celebration.
The celebration will have to wait. We are also preparing a funeral for Yendorn.
Kind of right away, like a flick has been switched. You just see kind of the glow drop from his eyes, and his smile just kind of falls away. I don't know what to say, but you can kind of see he doesn't really know how to handle you. This really kind of the actual fighting part isn't his thing, and kind of dealing with mortality is kind of quite far away from his accounting office. I'm sorry for your loss. I'll speak to Heradius about making the preparations. Again, I'll make sure that we allocate enough funds to make it a suitable send off.
Thank you. We'll leave you to your business.
So he kind of sits back down, and you can see he turns to one of these guys, and he clearly kind of seems to be the leader. I'm sorry, Braxton. I think our business here is going to have to wait. We seem to have as you heard, a bit of a tragedy on our hands.
Of course, that takes precedent. Go ahead.
So you guys, you can kind of see as this guy speaks, he seems to have a fairly kind of robust aura to him. He kind of looks like he's been around a few battlefields. His weapons and armor, whilst clearly maintained, definitely are not what you'd call shiny. They've definitely seen use. And judging by how the other two with him seem to be at his beck and call, you suspect there's some military history there.
Sorry.
Can I roll insight to learn more about this new mysterious stranger?
You may.
That is a natural 2.
He's a lot bigger than you.
Yeah. He is quite big. Oh, humans that big?
It's actually with that kind of role. Yeah, no, you don't know what human size is like.
Just thinking of Havel's like a midget for humans.
He's a half elf, by the way.
Is Tarek saying all of this out loud?
Also, a very good question.
How tall is he? Because Havel's 6 foot.
I think he'd probably burst out with a "How tall are you?" kind of thing at the very least.
So Braxton, this kind of impudent little gnome, just kind of walks up and kind of after appraising you for a moment, just kind of asks you for your height.
Well, I get many questions as an adventurer, but this is a first for me. I'm 6 foot. What's it to you?
Sorry, I didn't even know I asked the question out loud, and I'm gonna walk away sheepishly.
Sorry about the gnome. He's got no impulse control.
Same height as Havel.
And a crack habit.
Yeah, I noticed.
So Ronvan kind of closes the ledger he's had open on the table. He kind of makes his way out. He kind of bids you guys, he nods and doesn't really say anything. You again get the impression he's not all too comfortable with this kind of thing. But yes, you've notified him, but Hrock seems still to be absent.
Won't bring it up in strange company.
Okay, so by now you can kind of hear a bit more activity coming from across the bridge. Seems that the kind of preparations are well underway. And before too long, kind of Heradius comes through the Great Hall, kind of rather sheepishly. Is it okay if we take the body and prepare it for the ritual? We'll treat him with the utmost of respect, don't worry.
I'm assuming Titus is probably carrying the body and clinging to it quite closely. It'd be a Titus thing to do.
It would, yeah. I think that's a fair assessment. But he's a little bit reluctant to give him up, but he kind of knows and trusts Heradius, so I think he'd probably be okay with him. I mean, he might actually go with him and carry him there, kind of, until the last minute that he has to give him up. So you guys kind of follow along, and you can see now that the pyre is kind of lit. Well, not lit, but it's built up to the stage where it's kind of ready to be lit. And as Titus kind of puts the body kind of down carefully next to it, Heradius goes about the business of kind of just unwrapping the body and kind of preparing it for the ritual. You can see he's kind of wiping away some of the dirt that's accumulated from the road. but true to his word, he kind of does it in a kind of very respectful manner, gentle where possible. But by now, of course, the recruits have kind of definitely cottoned on to what's happening, and you can kind of see a few of them kind of looking and a few pointing. You can see one of them's kind of openly crying. But Herodias is kind of started to kind of get those preparations underway. You can see his helpers are setting up tables and kind of bringing out the kind of barrels of ale and mead that are usually an accompaniment to a slayer's funeral. There seems to be kind of the three members of the right hand have also kind of come to maybe pay their respects to a fellow professional as a bit of courtesy. But as the evening draws in, kind of it soon becomes time to start the ceremony, and Titus kind of gives Herodias a hand in lifting Yendorn onto this pyre. So you guys kind of can see now that Yenva's started to herd these recruits into a kind of a semicircle, and it seems that the ceremony as such is starting in very short order. Anybody want to kind of do anything before we crack on with that? Any last actions before the fire is lit?
Triss is just gonna sidle over to to Yenva and just give her a tap on the shoulder. Well, just see that she's okay because she saw her crying earlier. Just check in basically.
So as you come and put a kind of friendly arm around her shoulder, you can kind of tell that she appreciates it and kind of stifles a bit of a sniffle. She definitely seems kind of comforted by the action, and it's nice as well to have someone there for you as well, Triss, to kind of both share in the mourning process. But as you do that, you kind of see Aquinial kind of step forward and take a bit of a central role. And as he kind of steps forward, you can see that the kind of gathered assembly kind of hushes down to a bit of a murmur. Everybody hear me? Yes, good. Well, in Hrock's absence, I'd like to say a few words. Words of sorrow, loss, but mostly words of gratitude. Most of you, if not all, gathered here today knew Yendorn. Some of you much better than others. He kind of gives a subtle nod to you guys at this point. I doubt any of you would have been able to name me another soul as noble than Yendorn. And I tell you this, but the work he has done has not gone unappreciated. Both the messages of thanks we've received as a guild from those he has tended to on his travels, and more personally, his bravery and sacrifice in coming to my aid. Aid, I might add, without which I would have surely perished, alone, forgotten, and in a plain far from home. They say that the difference between death and sacrifice is that whilst death makes you a victim, sacrifice is what makes heroes. And have no doubts, we will not quickly forget Yendorn's heroics here. And so, whilst we did not share the same faith, it would be a foolish god to turn away such a worthy soul. I'm certain that wherever Yendorn is, he'll be keeping a watchful eye over those of us who remain as we continue in this world. I ask all of you to take a moment of private reflection, and then let us drink tonight in Yendorn's honour. And with that, he kind of lowers a torch and kind of starts the kindling on fire, and you can see that there's clearly been some oil doused over this because the whole pyre takes very quickly. You see him take a step backwards and kind of hands clasped in front of him, kind of lowers his head for a moment. You can see that the kind of gathered assembly are starting to do the same for a moment.
I'll take that opportunity to read one of the prayers from Yendorn's book, just quietly though.
So you kind of start mumbling this prayer, not quite to yourself, but not too loud either, and you obviously have no problems reading the Elvish. You don't really feel any effect from it, but you know that Yendorn would have liked that. You've kind of seen him write in his final send-off. But as the kind of flames start to rise and people kind of have this little moment, you see Herodias is starting to kind of fill up tankards. The ale drinking is kind of customary, as these events are really about kind of celebrating the life of the individual as well as mourning their loss. And these start getting handed around. It's not long before you each have a kind of a pint of ale in your hands. Well, my friends, to Yendorn. And there's kind of like an echoing, to Yendorn, from around the courtyard, and then almost in unison, these kind of jugs are emptied. With the kind of ceremony, or the ceremonial part over, a lot of the kind of recruits and that start to break off into smaller circles, but Aquinial makes his way over to you. Now, I won't ever forget what I owe to Yendorn, but I will also not forget that you two risked your lives to come and save me. That's not really something I can repay, but I think I might be able to help you in your search for more of these keystones. I will get on to some of my contacts across the kingdom and the empire, and I'll see if anybody has heard of such artifacts. It'll probably take time, but I'm confident that somebody would probably know a little bit more about this.
Thank you.
Well, anyway, if you will excuse me, I think I need to have a moment in private. Aquinial kind of gives you all a curt bow, kind of puts his tankard down and kind of makes his way back into the kind of the main citadel across the bridge. Again, you just can't shake that suspicion that he holds himself personally accountable for what's happened to Yendorn.
What are the right hands doing at this point?
So they've obviously been watching, and whilst they didn't know Yendorn, the kind of funeral rites of a slayer are something they would definitely know of. Obviously, being a dangerous profession, it happens reasonably frequently. So they've kind of joined you in the toast and are kind of drinking their tankards, kind of gathered in their little group.
Okay.
Unless, of course, they want to do anything different, Braxton.
Where is the pyre right now? Is it still?
So it's still lit. They've kind of put it fairly centrally in the courtyard, so that everybody could kind of gather around it.
Yeah, I think once it's reached the point of like softly smouldering, I'll like to go there and say a final few words. Anyone who wants to come and join me in that endeavour is welcome to.
So you kind of give it an hour or so, as the kind of the pyre is still pretty lit and burning for that amount of time before it gets to a stage where you could kind of comfortably approach it. But you make your way there.
I never thought you liked me, you know. I thought your indifference to me was always coming from a place of hatred. But now I'm not so sure. I'm so sorry I didn't notice earlier that all this time you were trying to make me a better person. This one's for you. I'm going to take out a small bag full of powder I've made.
Okay.
I'm going to, not the drugs, the just like a mixture of coloured powders, and I'm going to say, this one's for you, Yendorn. I'm going to take it forward and try and learn the 4 things you tried to teach me. Start swinging it round and say, with each swing I say, peace, protection, life, wisdom. Finally tossing the bag onto the pyre, I cast pyro kinetics to make a small firework display displaying his religious symbol.
So you kind of cast this bag into the fire, and kind of sure enough, this kind of small display of pyrotechnics erupts, and you kind of get a few kind of awes, kind of wows from the crowd. But you kind of feel kind of resolute to kind of see that, you know, these tenets that Yendon live by kind of help shape your actions from now on. Although for a moment I thought you were going to say this one's for you, Yendon, and then just do a
and then just snort it. Yeah. Sorry, that was pretty poor ways of wording what I was doing in retrospect. But yeah. Torek goes on his way and tries to take those parts with him.
Which parts? Sorry,
not the drugs. The peace protection.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Whatever the 4th one was.
I just, because of your usual schematic, I thought you were talking about actual physical components. Like just what's he stolen from the fire.
Just throws the stuff in like solemnly, and he's like, "I'm going to need some of those back."
Okay, so the rest of you kind of watch, and you know, Torre he's not usually the solemn sort, but you can see conviction in his eyes as he kind of turns and walks away.
Rulen will probably approach the pyre just to say a couple of parting words. He'll keep it quiet because he doesn't want everyone else to hear, but it's just a simple, I promise, Yendon, that we'll continue your work. We'll seek to bring an end to this evil. And you left some unfinished business with the beast that destroyed your home and killed your family, and I will do my best to see that it's ended. Be at peace. And just walks away.
So you again kind of feel this kind of conviction burning in you now that you will kind of do this for Yendor now that he's not able to, as it was clearly something quite dear to him. That was kind of burnt to the ground by this dragon. So the funeral pyre starts to kind of dwindle a little bit as time goes on. Kind of the tankards are starting to get pretty low. A lot of the kind of recruits have turned it in for the night. Kind of as much as they enjoyed the ale, they've still got to be training tomorrow. You suspect that if anything, Yemma will probably work them harder for it to let out some of their anguish by just pushing them through their paces. It seems a few of them probably suspect this as well. But the kind of night draws in, kind of illuminated by these kind of flickering tongues of flame. And you're kind of left in the courtyard. The kind of members of the right hand of Azura kind of make their way over to the Great Hall where they're kind of being accommodated for the night. And it's just you guys left there, kind of watching the pyre kind of burn to completion.
So what do we do now? We've still got these keys to find, but I just don't know that I've got it in me right now.
Well, Aquilneal mentioned that you'll assist us with our search, but it could be a while yet before he hears anything. I think we should all take some rest and reflection.
So as Rulin's kind of saying this, you kind of hear the crackling and snaps as the kind of now burnt out fire kind of crumbles down to an ashy pile. Kind of no trace of Yendorn's body left to be seen, just a kind of grey pile and smouldering embers. It is now very late, and kind of after a long day on the road and that funeral, Rulin's suggestion of rest seems quite an attractive prospect to a few of you. So as you kind of make your way to barracks, you can see now that most of the recruits are in bed, and the few that aren't are kind of keeping quiet. You get a few kind of nods and kind of back pats of condolence, but you guys each find your bunks and kind of collapse. It's been a long day. So yeah, you guys take your long rest if you haven't already. When you kind of wake up again, the kind of sharp contrast to the kind of mood of the previous night, you can kind of hear already the kind of clack of wooden training weapons on wood. Seems that kind of Yemma got the recruits up early for additional lessons this time.
Can hardly blame her with the way things are at the moment.
Well, I think the kind of sentiment she's taken from this, now, is that this is a good opportunity to prove to these guys that, even the hardened kind of slayers who have, got good experience under their belt, and steel badges. Still aren't immune to the dangers that are out there. So she's kind of reinforcing this by kind of working them harder than usual.
I think Rulin and Titus will probably take the opportunity to rise early and join the training and see if they can lend their expertise.
Mm-hmm.
I'll cook the potions.
Yep. So you kind of brew up now with no.
Eureka! I've done it again!
There's no outburst of protest. You're kind of left unreprimanded for your alchemy in the morning.
Torek, I feel like Torek didn't even consider Yendorn. He's like morning alchemy time, and only when there's that pitch silence he remembers and becomes solemn again. Oh.
So yeah, you brew us up as you watch kind of Ruler and Titus kind of go out and start kind of knocking a few recruits around. You can see that Titus is getting really into it. He's clearly just venting onto some poor, unfortunate dwarf who's just kind of got his shield above his head, barely got time to offer any counterattacks. He's just trying to survive. There's kind of this wooden club that Titus has picked up, just kind of beats down on this shield. Kind of Ruler, you have a bit more restraint and can actually impart something that could be considered a lesson rather than a beating. And whilst kind of the opportunity to kind of do something martial does help distract a little bit, it's not enough to completely clear your mind as much as you'd probably been hoping. But you kind of go about your mornings as usual, but you kind of quickly see the kind of a group of slayers from the right hand come up and kind of start watching some of the training. You see that their kind of leader in particular is kind of paying close attention to kind of the more advanced of you. So kind of Titus, Ruler, Yenver, and Sarstir. Kind of watching the fall of the blows and kind of the rhythm of the movements. He definitely seems interested.
Braxton, was it? We'll say taking a slight break.
Yes, it was. Sorry, I never really introduced myself.
Not a problem. It was unusual circumstances for an introduction, I'm sure.
Yes, unfortunate way to meet. Sorry, your name would be?
My name is Rulin, and over there, the rather diminutive chap, I'm not pointing at Titus, would be Titus.
You two sure know how to trade blows with these initiates.
Well, I suppose it's necessary more now than ever to ensure that they're prepared for what lies ahead. I'm sure you know as well as I the dangers that are out there.
I certainly do, and the fall of your ally is worrying to me. I do not believe my men to be as adept as your group. I would not want to risk them too much longer.
No. So, how would our training compare to how the right hand of Azura do it?
I'd say this looks a fair bit more organized. We are a very small order with a very small following. We largely train ourselves and try and maintain our sharpness through performing as many contracts as we can, regardless of whether that makes us money or not.
What weaponry is Braxton carrying?
So you can see he's kind of got a shield slung over his back and a kind of quite a well-crafted looking longsword at his belt.
Would you care to join us and perhaps shake off some of that fatigue from your long journey?
Oh, of course. My pleasure.
So, Rulin, you kind of point Braxton in the kind of direction of the rack that holds the training weapons. And Braxton, you can kind of see there is a kind of a longsword styled kind of training weapon there. As you kind of grab it, you have a feel for its weight. It's obviously significantly lighter, but you feel that you could definitely kind of adapt quickly to it. Rulin, you kind of clear the courtyard of some room. You can see now that a few of the initiates who had previously been kind of sparring with you have kind of stopped to watch. They kind of noticed that this guest of theirs has picked up a sparring weapon. It doesn't take a genius to see what comes next. But as the kind of the heavily armored Slayer kind of arms himself with this wooden sword, he kind of takes up a fighting stance. You can kind of tell just from the kind of the way he carries himself that kind of despite that plate mail, he's still very much on his feet. You can see his footwork is good, and he shifts it quite frequently. Braxton, for your part, you see the kind of weapon of choice of your adversary. It's kind of a long, kind of quarterstaff style thing, kind of held quite loosely. And to avoid having to do any actual like mechanics heavy combat, we're just going to do a kind of best of three roll off.
Okay.
So D20 plus your proficiency and your relevant modifier, be it Dex or Strength. So round one, if you'll both roll me a D20.
That's a 14.
That's a 24.
So
Nice first roll.
So Braxton, you kind of take up your usual defensive stance, kind of shields, kind of raised high enough to cover most of you, but like low enough to kind of give you good visibility over the kind of a rim of it. And you kind of brace yourself to kind of meet the attack. But when it comes very quickly. You try and parry this kind of with your longsword as he kind of brings the spear in from kind of an attack from above. But the prey you're kind of used to facing tends to be larger, and kind of the sheer speed of this attack kind of comes through and manages to kind of just connect with your kind of chainmail coif around your neck. So you kind of pull back from this, kind of a few cheers from the crowd, and roll me again for the second round.
Oh, 13.
23.
So this time you kind of decide to kind of change up your tactics a little bit here. You kind of see now that your opponent kind of relies quite heavily on his mobility. So you decide to kind of close the gap so that your sword would be kind of more use to you than his long spear would be to him. So you kind of raise your shield up above you, and kind of not quite charge, but kind of move forward aggressively. And as you do, you kind of take a low thrust with your sword. But as you kind of follow it through and raise your shield, you see that kind of your opponent is kind of no longer stood there. And as you kind of look to your left, you are just in time to see this kind of quarterstaff just come and make an impact against the kind of plate on your chest with a hollow thud. Again, to more cheers from the crowd. They're clearly liking the display being put on here by the champion of the Shattered Fang here. And one more time.
Ooh. That was good.
That might be mine.
Mm-hmm.
Good girls.
So, kind of spurred on by the kind of the still not sore, but the sting of kind of being caught in your midriff by this attack. You kind of pull back this time, and as the kind of quarterstaff comes in for another thrust, you actually drop your shield this time and kind of grab Rulin by his forearm. And as you pull him in, you kind of bring up a knee and kind of connect it into his stomach. Rulin, you kind of go back a little bit, obviously not really expecting a bit of this unconventional attack, and you kind of hear a few boos from the crowd. But at this point, Yenva steps in and quickly admonishes them. Now you boo, but do you see what he did there? Rulin was fighting conventionally. Our guest here, he saw that he was fighting conventionally, and he decided to do something that was a bit unconventional. And as you can see, it worked. The lesson to be learned here is that having a fixed fighting style is not necessarily always a good thing. It is often, in times, necessary, in fact, for one to deviate from a usual strategy. I think this is a perfect example of that, and I must commend you for your resilience and ability to think on your feet. She kind of nods to you, Braxton. She says the recruits kind of look a bit sheepish. Probably shouldn't have booed.
I feel like Titus would have been one of those booing as well. So,
yeah, Titus is kind of watching in the crowd. Obviously, his money was firmly on Rulin from the start, and kind of with a firm concept of honor, it might have seem a bit below the belt. But as Yenma says, kind of slayers have to be resourceful to survive in the industry, so it's kind of part of the course here. But yeah, Braxton, this kind of definitely confirms your theory that the training going on in Care M1 is pretty top notch. This opponent of yours, whilst you got the last blow in, kind of had they been live weapons, you don't know whether he would have been around to make it.
Yeah.
So Rulin will step up onto his feet, sort of catch his breath, and say to Braxton, "Well fought. A solid blow. Well delivered.
Two very solid ones from you too. Very, very good fight."
Yeah, the rest of you kind of can see these two kind of stood face to face. Like their styles of fighting couldn't be more different. Obviously the heavy armor is a stark contrast to Rulin's robes. But yeah, it was a very good fight to watch. And you can see that the recruits are kind of already starting to mimic a few of the strikes in their own little sparring matches.
So, what has brought you to Care M1?
Well, my colleagues and I have been very unsuccessfully looking for a rumored Hydra that was about the area. And we heard word that the Slayers in Caer Enwyn were those who actually found and dispatched of it.
Yes. Roland sort of smirks to himself, quite prideful, you know. Titus, why don't you show him your drinking horn?
So, Braxton, you watch as this kind of Goliath kind of reaches into his pack and pulls out a drinking horn about the size of your forearm, kind of tipped at one end with a bit of metal. But as you examine this, you can see quite clearly this was a fang once of some sort, a large one at that. And given the kind of hollow nature of it, that kind of ties in with the Hydra teeth.
Can I quickly just say I love the way Roland flexed just then? That was very epic.
Yeah, so this is definitely a Hydra tooth that you're being shown here, or at least was before it was converted into a drinking horn.
Oh, by Azora, it's true. I had no doubt when I fought you, but it's amazing to think you killed this thing. We couldn't even find it.
Well, I suppose the credit goes to my companion, Havel, the human you saw at the funeral. But we came across the creature. What was it?
Just east, kind of southeast of Acom.
Yeah, that was it. Just to the southeast of Acom, the Baron is the one who gave us the contract to find the beast. It was a close one, but with Yendorn's help, we won out in the end. Roland sort of gets a bit quiet.
His bravery and battle will not be forgotten.
No, certainly.
So as kind of Roland takes a moment, Preston, you've kind of fulfilled the purpose of your visit to Caer Enwyn, really just verifying that Hydra was, dealt with, and it seems that clearly these Slayers have dealt with it. Kind of one of your companions kind of comes kind of up to you and pats you on the shoulder. Braxton, is it not time we were heading off for Nirna?
We should leave soon, yes. I still have some business with the Slayers.
As you wish. We'll make our preparations and ready the horses. So the rest of you kind of know roughly where this Nirna is. Kind of full name of it is the Bastion of Nirna, and it acts as kind of the headquarters for kind of a right hand. In fact, Torrig, you might know this. Roll me a history.
Ooh, 16.
So you haven't been there, but you have kind of heard the name in your studies. It's kind of rumored that the castle was actually kind of in existence prior to its current role as Slayers Guild. Kind of had been talked of that it was at one point a kind of an abandoned ruin, but kind of got restored. But yeah, so these two kind of head off towards the stables, and you can see that there are a couple of horses with some kind of livery on, kind of cloth barding. Quite fancy affairs, really. They kind of start readying saddlebags, and you can see a few of them kind of checking rations and stuff like that.
So you're heading straight back to Nerna?
That was the original plan. I may stick around here myself a bit longer for some training and maybe to help out. It may be soon to say, but you are down a soldier, so I'm around to assist if that should be needed.
Those would be some large boots to fill.
I do not even envisage I can completely replace Yendorn, but I do have my place in a party, and I can be very helpful.
I have no doubt.
I do kind of like the idea. He actually wears armor.
Well, we were only discussing yesterday that it would be good for us probably to get out and work out some frustration. You could potentially join us on a contract.
It's not a bad idea.
Yes, I would enjoy that. I shall stay around and wait for this contract.
So it's not an uncommon occurrence for two guilds to kind of work together for contracts. Oftentimes it's when because when these kind of requests for help are put out, there's no real telling who accepts it until they turn up. So often you get two groups from a different guilds kind of coming to accept the same contract, at which point the kind of traditional practice is to join forces and split the loot. It's not really written anywhere, but it's kind of a code of honor amongst professionals.
Well, it saves from fighting over the.
Yeah, and it really in a kind of a world where there aren't any real clear jurisdictions as such, and contracts tend to be on a first come first served basis. As you say, it can ease tensions quite a bit. So it wouldn't be a particularly unusual thing to have Braxton come along.
With him on our side, our options do open up a bit. Maybe we could track down my box, but we can discuss that later if you like.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. So it's still early in the morning. Obviously, the kind of business at KRM1 is pretty much back to kind of the way it is, just kind of due to the lifestyle, really. The kind of options to just kind of mourn and grieve for an extended period of time isn't really available to them. There's work to be done and training to be trained. So once again, you guys are kind of left to your own devices, really. But the two companions that Braxton came with kind of return, and the decision is kind of passed along to them. They kind of understand, kind of wish you all well, and then leave the gatehouse and kind of begin their long ride back to the northeast. So you guys are kind of left with the kind of choice of what to do next.
Well, Tarek, I understand you want to go after your box, but really, I don't have any idea where we would start to search for such a thing. The people involved seems to have covered their tracks quite well. I mean, our trail for Alistair ended in the temple.
Yes, I know that's true, but I mean, think, Alistair, he was in the temple though, and what else was in the temple? There was a plinth there, probably containing another, artifact. So I think what he's doing is tracking down these artifacts, possibly even using the thing. It's my theory, anyway.
Well, we can keep an ear to the ground, I suppose, but for now, perhaps it's best if we just assist with some contracts. We have been away for a while, for months. In fact, it's probably do as well to help out and do our duty. Should we see Ronfan about taking a contract?
Yeah, you can go and find out if there's any work available. So when you kind of go and find him, he tells you there are a couple of options.
Just that, like, how long exactly was it as well that we were trapped in the?
So Petlamir kind of told you it was about 2 weeks.
Oh, 2 weeks. Okay. Plus the time that we'd been away anyway, probably about a week. So probably about 3-4 weeks that we'd been away.
Yeah, it was a reasonable stretch of time. So Ronvan kind of tells you there are a couple of options open. Obviously, with the Quinial away, that was kind of like the large kind of portion of contracts cut off because most of these are kind of communicated magically, just to save having to send a rider.
Right.
But a few come by with caravans, and it seems that there are a couple of kind of contracts available to you. There's a local lord in the kind of Vilafari city of Ponteg, if you kind of follow me to the map, who claims he is kind of losing patrols kind of out along the coast. And there's another kind of large scale, I say large, influential landholder apparently has sent a request from the kind of Parthunian city of Eventide up in the north of the country. Just again, some of his more remote villages kind of haven't been sending through their kind of their catches for a few weeks, and that's kind of got his kind of citizens a bit worried that something might have happened, so he's looking for someone to investigate.
Well, what do we all think?
Yes.
Sorry, I wasn't listening when you were reading them out. Is there any unexplained events or anything like that? The interesting jobs?
Missing patrols or villagers not sending the catches?
That probably just means a spooky animal of some sort. Not
Or
like, missing a rich person in the middle of a city or anything like that.
well, it's the fishing villages which really shudders a bit. Just brings back awful memories.
Indeed. I don't think... is anyone here ready to fight fish people again? You ever fought fish people, Braxton?
So Braxton, the bastion of Nurna is actually kind of island bound. The kind of only real crossing point is a very rickety, kind of poorly maintained bridge on this little isthmus. You can see there, and even then, that only takes you to an island where the link to the mainland is kind of communicated by ferry. So you're used to the sea. Not comfortable with it, but used to it.
I think Richard's just stepped away for a minute.
Has he? Nah.
Well, Ruin, as long as we're not
there
having to deal with fish people, I don't mind. Make a choice by my account.
Oh, sorry,
It'd be
was
great
I
to kill something?
being called?
Torek was just asking how comfortable you were with fighting fish people, and I was just basically saying how, you know, being a kind of an island stronghold, you're used to the sea, if not necessarily comfortable with it.
Yeah, sure. Yes, fish people, as you call them, they're no problem. I'll fight against anything really, but they're not so unknown to me.
Okay, so we do have a little advantage there.
We could head north to Eventide.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you know that Eventide is not really that close. Probably taking about a week and a half of travel to get there at a kind of respectable pace. But yeah, the day is still young, so if you'd set off now, you could make a good start.
Okay. What would be the Titus situation?
It's hard because I feel like he would go with you, but obviously with Chaz not being here, I don't really want to drag him into a fight. We'll tell you what. We'll say that Titus stays and helps Yenda do some training. This week.
1 hour later, it's just like, oh god, he's dead! If only we had a frontline fighter.
F for Titus, yeah. That was, I mean, yeah, killing someone when they're not here seems like a bit of a punishment too far for having dodgy Wi-Fi. So I think just for simplicity's sake, rather than have someone proxy him, we'll leave him in Care Emlyn.
Sure. Be right back.
Mm-hmm. So the rest of you kind of okay with this plan? Anything you want to do, want to buy before you leave? Any kind of things like that?
No, I'm good to go whenever.
Triss?
No, nothing I need to do. I'm ready to go as soon as.
Mm-hmm. Cool, in which case I suppose we will probably wait for Cal to get back wherever he's gone. And then head off.
Guy, I was going to say, Torik's little speech was amazing.
Thanks, man. Like, Yandorn's death, like, I think, like, I was really shocked as a person when it first happened, and I made my peace with it, but I think, like, Torik would still be, like, dealing with it in his own ways. I think, like, what he said to Aquinial, like, he's not giving this up, is gonna try and hold a little water in the future, and be interesting to see how that develops. Thanks, man. I've been thinking about, like, how how this will affect him, and I kind of felt like it was my own little way of saying goodbye to what I thought was a good character.
I liked it.
It was a nice little touch. It's always a hard thing, isn't it, trying to kind of do justice to a character if they've gone before their time.
Yeah, I was thinking of having, like, Torik go, like, a different way and, like, not even show up to the funeral, but Like, I don't know. It didn't pan out in my head. I was thinking of having him not show up to the funeral and be like, you know, you only go to funerals to admit when people are at peace, and I don't think he's at peace. I'm not going to stop until he is, kind of thing. And yeah, I think that's going to be one of Torik's side quests to try and unite Yendorn's soul so he can put it to rest.
Well, it's a tall order.
Oh yeah, it is. But you know, Torik for now needs to survive in order to get that across. So
That is also true.
yeah, he'll do what he can. Also, I should probably grab the soul of Havel. Something about a power source. I don't know. Is this unethical? This feels unethical.
I nearly panicked when Rulin said, "Are you heading straight back to no?" I was like, "I'm gonna be like, yeah, see ya."
Cameo from Richard.
So there's all another character.
Nice to see you. Bye.
It just happens for a while. It's like, wow, we're bumping into a lot of colourful characters.
just that's just Rich's new role in here now. He's my like auxiliary NPC. Just
They all seem
Because they
really
never have the
interested.
opportunity to join the party.
yeah, it's just
Hello, I am Braxos, the fighter. Oh, nice to meet you. Bye.
yeah, just all these really obvious hints that just get ignored.
And they're like all really good characters as well.
Like, I'm a slave of a murdered master, and I seek a party to help me avenge him. Oh, that's nice. I'm sure you'll find one in the next town. Good luck.
That's that scene at the end of Dumb and
Dumb
Dumber.
and Dumber, yeah.
Looking for two guys to help boil us up. Oh, you're in luck.
Do you realise what you've done? Sorry, friend. Bayford's in the other direction. Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, dear.
Right. Okay, then. If we're all here. So you guys kind of double check that you've kind of got all your gear and kind of head over to the stables. And you can kind of see that the horse that Braxton's riding is kind of similar to his companions, kind of wearing this livery with, again, this blue hand kind of featuring prominently in the design. You are aware that the right hands, they are ultimately quite a religious bunch. So kind of this iconography is probably part of the course, really. But he very quickly does a once-over of his gear in a similar manner to you, and kind of satisfied, you all kind of mount up and kind of get on your way. So you kind of head north, again along roads that you're quite familiar with. The woods around you, Havel, you do notice seem to be a bit quiet. Not like completely empty, but kind of less kind of bird song and general chatter that you would kind of expect to hear in this part of the world. But you kind of push on regardless. And as night starts drawing in, you find a decent place to camp. Abreast, and you kind of watch a little bit as this party goes about the business of setting camp, and you can see that it's clear that everybody has kind of their roles. You can see that Triss has kind of gathered some firewood and is kind of producing a flame to ignite it. Havel kind of goes out and returns quickly with some kind of edible kind of root tubers. which kind of quickly starts preparing and getting on the fire. You see Torek is doing something with some vials full of colourful fluids, and you can see he's very carefully weighing up a bag containing a kind of pinkish sand. Yeah, it's not really obvious what he's doing, but he looks like he knows what he's doing, at least. That's the impression you get. Finally, kind of meditating in the middle, but kind of still clearly keeping a close eye on the proceedings. You've got Rulin. But yeah, despite this kind of well-oiled machine, there seems to be definitely that kind of melancholic air over the whole campsite. There's clearly something missing from all of this. But you obviously suspect you know what that is. But as the camp is made and kind of alarms set, you lay out your sleeping bag and well, that's a good point actually. Anybody want to do anything around the campfire? Any further chatting with your new companion, or are we just gonna kind of fast travel?
Yeah. Let's get the chance to try and learn a little bit more about them, about the religion, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
If he knows anything about the religion, that is.
I'm not really
Okay,
put that
maybe
much
not that.
thought into the religion yet.
Maybe not those questions.
I'll come out of it straight away. Yeah.
Well, sure we could ask a few, learn a little bit about him, if not masses. Just might have to pick your questions carefully.
Yeah.
But then again, you're not really expecting him to bear all to you guys just yet. You have only just met him. No. Well, okay then. So the camp goes quite uneventfully through the night, and you wake up to the rising sun and carry on your way. As you progress, you make good progress up the kind of continent. You pass by a few small farms along your way. Nothing really out of the ordinary. Couple of dirt roads. However, as you travel a little bit further north still, you come across a human kind of carrying a kind of like a woven basket of rocks. He looks, dirty-ish, not particularly wealthy as such. His clothes mark him out as a commoner. But he kind of sees you approach on the road. Sirs, can I interest you in some finest quality Parthunian rune rocks?
What's a rune rock when he's at
he
home?
gestures at his bag and pulls one out. Well, my lady, I'm glad you have asked. Rune rocks right here. Well, why don't you take a look for yourself? And as he passes this over to you, it seems to be a kind of chunk of stone, and on one side of it, the kind of face of this rock has been smoothed, and there are some kind of writings in it, a few symbols, but they seem to be kind of sporadic and interrupted in places. We here in Parfunis have some of the finest quality rune rocks in the whole of the land. won't find them better. And I can give them to you for a reasonable price.
Does it look like it's a genuine item?
Well, it's depends on what your definition of genuine and item would be. It looks like the carvings have been on the rocks for a while. It doesn't look like he's just kind of taken a chisel to them this morning or something.
Okay.
But you can't really work out what the hell's going on with them.
Could I try and subtly cast detect magic?
Yeah, so you cast detect magic,
There is my.
kind of in the pretense of carefully examining these things, and it looks like they're kind of fairly mundane bits of stone, other than this kind of worked surface. Kind of the back and sides of it though still kind of look rough, like the rock's been kind of sheared off of something. Oh, what do you say, lovely lady? For you, I'll do you a special deal. I'll tell you what, you buy 2 and I'll throw you in a third for the price of 1.
What exactly are they supposed to do?
Oh, it's simple. They're good luck charms. They you hang them in your kitchen or wherever else you feel you need the luck, and boom, away you go.
Just gonna eye up the horses behind me a little bit. Yeah. I don't know. Anybody else? Torek, why don't you come and have a look? You're usually the master of little devices like this.
I suppose I could take a gander. I'm gonna look at them. Do any of the runes make any sense in a historic setting?
So you can't take one of these rocks from Triss, and you cast your eye over it, and it does look like these were at some point intact. The runes, the script is definitely familiar to you as being Tildrache, but they make no sense out of context and in kind of fragments like this.
Where did you find these?
Well, that's a trade secret, isn't it? If I told everybody, then nobody'd be willing to buy me rune rocks.
You realise that you may have just raided a temple of the Tildrache, a race of people that are so old it transcends anything that scientific knowledge had of before this moment, and you were willing to sell them for...
Oh, it's 10 gold pieces a pop.
10 gold pieces a pop.
Oh, that's right, mate. Go eat, don't I?
I'm just going to turn to Triss and go, these are Tildrache. You remember those, that, what's it called again? The portrait, but it's long, widthways. Tapestry, that's the one.
Oh, yeah. Triss is gonna tune into Radio Torek and go, they're definitely not magical.
Right, but they did contain a message at one point or the other. These fragmented parts probably make a larger picture where it originated. This could be a big deal.
Yeah, okay, I admit it.
Should we try sort of maybe intimidating this guy, see if we can get him to tell us where he got them from? I mean, we can try persuading him.
Well, me and you have just been silent, just staring at each other for a while. I imagine both of us at that point just turn slowly and stare at the guy after the suggestion of intimidation, while those purple Japanese squiggles go on like ore ore.
So, yeah, like from this guy's perspective, you two have just been like kind of staring at these rocks and then just both look up to him. And he is going to roll a wisdom because he is not very bright. But so he sees that you're probably not looking at him with kind of burning desire to purchase these things.
What gave it away?
Hey, what's it going to be then? I can't stand here all day. He kind of looks nervously to Forrest. You never know what's out here.
Yeah, I really think it would be great if you told us whereabouts you got these from.
Oh, well, that's funny, because I really think that'd be a terrible idea and I'd ruin my livelihood.
We could maybe give you some gold, make it worth your while, or I don't know. There are other things. Triss is going to tune into his head and go, just tell us where they are.
Oh shit!
He's going to roll another wisdom saving throw. That.
Oof.
You just see terror fill his eyes. Witch! And he just legs it off into the forest, kind of bucket and all. You can kind of hear the crashing of twigs and kind of the undergrowth giving way.
Torek is going to be laughing no end to this fleeing man.
Did it a bit.
So he crashes off in that direction, leaving you two with the two kind of fragments you'd been examining as samples.
Did he run off with the rest?
Yeah, the rest of them are kind of loosely in his basket.
And his basket was in his arm.
You suspect you can see one that might have dropped out as he was running just on the edge of the road.
I see. And we're going to have to follow the trail of rune crumbs.
I was going to say, Havel's going to do we need to follow that guy?
Have you not got a bird or something that could maybe follow him?
I mean, it isn't exactly making it difficult to follow it.
Yeah, that's a fairly grave insult to a tracker of Havel's prowess.
I'm actually going to turn to Triss and go, you may actually be a witch. Fascinating.
I can't argue, really. I don't know. Torek, is it worth following him for more of these?
Now you're insulting my livelihood.
She's just going to throw her arms and walk off. She's done.
Could Rulin perhaps take a look at one of these special rocks?
Yeah, so you kind of cast your eyes over one that Torek is kind of poring over. And you can kind of see that these markings have clearly been made for some purpose. You don't understand the language. It's really kind of hard to see any visual prompts because clearly the chap has broken these up into kind of quite a few small chunks with the aim of selling as many as possible. But yeah, it looks like it was at one point an artifact of some sort.
Could have been questioning the man before he ran away. Sort of, he'll look at Triss and Torek with a bit of disapproval on his face.
Fucking Triss.
I didn't mean to make him run off. I just wanted to scare him a bit.
What time of day is it as well? Do we know?
Apple pie is this.
Chris Brew?
Muted. It's about kind of early afternoonish.
So he may still find his way home, but although it seems he likely was con man, I don't like the idea of him running off into the forest by himself, scared out of his wits.
So Havel's going to do two things.
Mm-hmm.
First thing, Havel's going to look at the symbols on both rocks, not to try and figure out what they are. He just needs to look at them.
Yeah. Okay.
Just
So you kind of get a rough idea of the kind of style of rocks you're looking for.
Yeah, and look at the symbol specifically.
Mm-hmm.
Because my last feat, keen mind, means I can accurately recall anything read, seen, or heard within the past month.
Yep. So
That's sick.
If we lose them, I can at least remember what the symbol is.
Yep. So you kind of take a mental note of what's on these rocks.
And I will also have, essentially follow the track of devastation and destruction that he created.
Mm-hmm. So I'm not even going to have you roll for it because it is just so blazingly obvious where he is just like torn his way through bushes. And as you follow him through, you kind of find a few more of these rocks as you go. And as you travel, you kind of think you've gone about a kilometre or so. You've picked up about 7 of these things in addition to the 2 that you guys had already got. When you kind of stumble across an open hole in the ground, kind of right in the middle of this path, and it seems to abruptly stop there. It looks like the ground gave way reasonably recently.
Oh. Good.
Uh-oh.
Can if we peer down the hole, can we see anything?
Perception, please.
Let's get that perception. Nope. It's dark down there, guys.
Boy, oh boy, is it dark down there. In fact, see, as you kind of try and peer over the edge, some of the ground starts to give way under you too, Rulin. Roll me a dexterity saving. Actually, acrobatics, I think, would be more.
I was only looking. Well, actually, yeah.
Yes, and you will be punished for it.
How close is Braxton?
It's 24.
So you kind of feel the earth starting to go, and kind of do a kind of backflip away from standing. And as you do it, kind of the dirt gives way, and it kind of reveals that the tree roots nearby were kind of largely the only things really holding up this earth. There appears to be quite a deep cavern underneath.
Everyone, just step back. There is a sinkhole right beneath us.
Havel, is that where that rock fella has gone to?
The tracks terminate.
Probably.
Oh, now we're going to have to go find him because I'm responsible. For God's sake.
Yeah, you killed a man.
Oh, now that it's opened up a little bit, is it a little bit more obvious how big the cavern is?
Yeah, so it's quite a substantial distance down. You reckon probably about 40 feet. However, now that kind of more has been revealed, you can see that there are in fact kind of some unnatural-looking pillars down there as well.
Is this now that Chaz isn't here? We're going to do a spelunking episode. It's just while he can't
Advance down the
complain.
hole.
Oh my god, we're going back into the hole in the ground. Let me guess, Titus can't fit down this one either.
Just quickly, Chaz has gone. Let's do some caving.
Well, he could still be alive down there. Actually, Paul, I'm just going to shout into the hole. Hello?
You kind of hear back up from the hole. Hello, hello, hello.
Yeah, he's still alive.
All right, let's go.
Rulin will take some rope out of his pack and start tying it around one of the trees. It's 50 feet, so that should get us down.
Yeah, so you find a sturdy-looking tree and proceed to tie in a kind of decent knot. After kind of a few tugs to make sure it's secure, you're satisfied that it's going to hold your weight.
Well, I'll go down first and take a look, make sure it's safe.
Mm-hmm. So you kind of start lowering yourself down this rope, and as your kind of eyes adjust to the kind of a dimmer light, You can see that there are, it seems, carved paving stones down below, and kind of the crumbling ruins of pillars that you suspect were once archways.
It is a ruin of some sort. I don't know if ruin is the right word. So have I reached the bottom yet?
Yeah, so you kind of lower yourself down to the floor of this and take a look around. It seems that this stretches underground, kind of in both directions, quite a bit.
I'll take out my spear, tap the butt against the floor, and light up.
Mm-hmm. So
Bright light.
The light casts this kind of glow, and you can see now that this is definitely kind of a similar style of ruin to the ones you've been in before.
Is there a body?
So you kind of search around a little bit, and you can see a little bit ahead of where you've come down, kind of just behind one of these pillars, kind of lies this bloke. It seems that he's kind of bleeding from his head a fair bit and is just out stone cold. However, as you draw nearer, you can see that his legs are at a bit of a weird angle.
I found him, and he's a little worse for wear. Torek, Havel, can you come down here?
Tracy's going to turn to Braxton. Don't suppose you can heal, can you?
If not, I can give him a needle.
I don't think we're down there at the moment, though, are we?
No, you guys are still up there.
Anyone coming down?
No,
yes, coming.
Braxton can help. We might as well send him down first.
Well, I mean, I guess Rulin would have asked Havel and Torek because he knows that they can help at least. But he doesn't really know what Braxton's capable of, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. So, you guys, now that kind of Rulin's down there and this rope is securely tied, you could get down there if you wanted to.
I'll go down just to have a look.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll get down there and be like, yeah, he looks fucked.
You want to kind of leave that as your diagnosis, or you want to kind of investigate more properly?
I mean, Havel doesn't know medicine that well, so
that's fair. Yeah,
he knows very basic, like very basic cure wounds, which he basically does by like making fucking pastes and shit out of roots and stuff. But anything past that, that's a bit like.
Okay. That's a fairly good summary of it, I suppose. So Torek, you see Havel go down this rope, following up close behind, I assume.
Yep, I will.
So as you lower yourself down, you kind of can't help but get kind of a surge of excitement as you find yourself in, again, what clearly seems to be a ruin of Tildrache origin.
So this is where he got. And to think, if there wasn't an earthquake or anything to expose these ruins, they could have been buried forever.
Sorry,
there weren't
we can discuss the ruins later. Right now, we have a dying man to tend to. We'll point at
what?
Guy.
Oh, right.
So Torek, this guy is clearly not in a good way. Although you'll have to roll me a medicine to determine exactly what the nature of that issue is.
I'm not that kind of doctor. Don't worry, I've got good boy points because I just quoted Crispy's favourite movie. 4?
Legs don't really look like that normally, you suspect. Also, as a rule of thumb, bleeding out of the ears is generally a bad sign.
Ooh. Okay. Well, the legs aren't supposed to look like that, so maybe pushing them into the right position would work, right? Right? Look to Roland like, come on, agree with me on this kind of thing.
Can I roll a medicine as well, just to maybe counteract Tarek doing something terrible?
Yeah, you can roll that one.
That's a 5.
You suspect Tarek is right. Legs really aren't supposed to look like that.
Oh no!
The body. I mean, you know that the body is capable of tremendous things. Your key is testament to that. So surely getting it back in its natural state will trigger some sort of natural healing.
Mm-hmm. Well, Tarek, with your any of your gadgets or potions that may help.
Tarek's gonna shuffle up to him and like kind of tug on his leg as if to get him to bend down so he can whisper in his ear. And he's just gonna whisper into your ear. He's gonna be like,
"Isn't that a waste of resource? I mean, like he's a grifter, a peasant, and he messed with the history of this place. Is it kind of worth our supplies?"
The man, I suspect, is only trying to make his living. Don't think scaring him away and leaving him to die down here would be the right thing to do.
No, I suppose you're right. Right. I'm gonna load up a healing dart and just fire it into his leg.
So you kind of fire this bolt kind of point blank into his leg, and you can kind of see that whilst the leg stays at a very unnatural angle, kind of it seems to stop bleeding. And in a similar way, the kind of knock to his head seems to have kind of staunched a little bit. He's still unconscious, and that leg is still at that angle.
Well, I've stopped him from dying, at least. I've sped up his heart rate, but also proliferated the use of, what are those little things that bind up wounds called again? Anyway, yeah, I did that.
While this is going on down there, Triss is going to give Braxton a bit of a kind of a push towards the rope down. Look, please, Tarek's great, but I'm not sure where he's at with the medicine. Would you just go and double check it? I'm absolutely used to.
Sure. So yeah, I just head down.
Yep. So you kind of grab the rope. Obviously, having seen the ground give way, you want to get a firm grip on that before you go near the opening. And as you kind of go, the ground seems to sag a little bit under your plate armor, but you start lowering yourself down. And kind of make it to the bottom with no ill effects.
Cool. So I'll go over and have a look at the guy, see what sort of state he's in after this dart.
Yes. So if you would roll me a medicine check, please.
That's a straight 19 plus 0.
So the man is in a bad way. The blow to his head is actually the most severe thing here. As you kind of examine the blood, you kind of see the telltale spattering of kind of cerebral fluid. It's clearly a very hard knock, and you suspect that this man's going to have serious neurological damage from it. The leg, also not a great situation. It looks like it was at least a fairly clean break from what you can tell. Kind of given time and the proper care, it could be set. But he's going to be... he'll struggle for the rest of his life with kind of reasonably serious brain damage, you suspect.
Well, the man seems to be in an extremely terrible condition. Even if we brought him back to relative consciousness, he may not be having a very good life after that.
Yes, my thoughts exactly, Braxton.
Well,
But I cannot willingly leave a soul to die. I think I would like to do as much as we can.
suppose we should try and set his leg.
I would tend to the head wound first, and I'm gonna spend. Oh man, I need to learn this stuff properly.
I think you've got 40 land hands. If that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, so I'll start off with just like five HP, but kind of it'll be directed on his head, and then to try and concentrate it up there.
So you put your kind of hands tentatively kind of around the back of his head where this blow seems to have happened. And as you kind of probe around a bit, you can detect what seems to be a skull fracture. And you kind of divert some of your well, I suppose it's not quite channeling divinity, but the kind of the energy that allows you to kind of heal him there, and you can feel the flesh that was kind of dashed against the rock start to mend. It's not enough to kind of do anything about that fracture or kind of the more serious internal damage, but it kind of closes up that surface wound. He's still unconscious at this point, although combined with Torik's effort, he is no longer bleeding.
Well, shall we see about his leg?
Yes, I think that would be wise. Can I have a look around to see if there's like any sort of wood about, or is it all just stone?
So it looks like it's stone, but Triss is still up above.
Well, actually, Roland will take a torch out of his pack and just carve it into or something. Just
the torch would be kind of the right style of wood to serve as a bandage. As a splint, and you can kind of unwrap the kind of cloth at the top to form some rudimentary bindings. So Braxton, because you've managed to kind of diagnose this pretty well, it doesn't pose too much of a difficulty to set the leg. And as you kind of pull it, there's a kind of a bit of a crunch that kind of even makes some more hardened amongst you a little bit, kind of green in the gills. But fortunately, this guy was unconscious, and it doesn't look like he felt a thing.
That's why I love Nestle Crunch.
So his leg is kind of in a position now where you can apply the splint. So you tie this kind of one bandage kind of each side of a break, and you're satisfied that this is going to be able to hold the leg in a reasonably safe position for him to travel.
that is probably all we can do now, without spending an inordinate amount of resources.
Yes. Is he at least stable?
So his pulse is fast and his breathing shallow, but he's alive and he doesn't seem to be kind of at imminent risk of fat changing.
Maybe, carrying him out of the hole would be a bit difficult. Maybe we should look around for another entrance or exit.
Oh, I've got an idea. Triss is going to come down the rope.
You're a little bit muffled there, Pascal. I don't know what.
Oh,
there we go.
any better?
That's much better. So you make your way down now. Obviously, seeing this poor bloke down at the bottom, his kind of basket lying discarded, all these stones having fallen out. But he seems to be at least in good hands here. Braxton has fixed him up pretty well from the looks of it.
Cool.
But
Are we ready for him to be taken topside then?
We're going to have a look around, isn't it? Down here.
I don't know. Carrying an unconscious body with injuries sounds like a really bad idea.
Yeah, I'm there for a bit.
We can leave him for now. I don't think his situation will much change if...
Well, my other suggestion was going to be dimension dooring him just onto the top, somewhere near the hole, but far enough away so he won't come back through.
Maybe a way of getting us out, but we can at least take a look around first. I wouldn't give up this opportunity to explore a Tildrace temple, perhaps even stumble across a keystone.
Yeah, okay. Let's have a look around then.
Okay.
Just out of curiosity, around about what time is it now? After we've tracked him and everything.
So by now it's probably getting on closer to kind of 2:30, 3.
All right, okay. And flexing my knowability, how long till sundown? Because I can accurately tell whenever that will be.
So you reckon you've probably got about 5 hours before sundown?
Brilliant takes out his pocket watch and tells Havel that.
Yeah, but you don't know when sundown is. You can only tell time.
It's true. They're not always the same.
Very true.
Yeah, because they don't want to be, trying to carry a body in a forest in the middle of the night. Was going to be my second thought. So.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, it's a great idea. But yeah, if we make that quick.
We could bed down in here for the night and make our way out in the morning. If it gets too late.
Yeah, fair point, actually. Yeah, if we're in a cavern, yeah. Fair. Yeah, let's have a wander around anyway. While we're here.
So, now that you've kind of addressed the kind of immediate issue of this kind of injured man, you take a moment to kind of properly examine your surroundings. And the thing that is immediately obvious is that this seems to be a passage that extends kind of in both directions, but remains fairly narrow. The stone floor is kind of a flagstone style material with these kind of archways, or at least in some places archways. Others, the kind of the ravages of time have caused them to collapse. But it kind of leads off in these two directions.
Torek, what do you think? Which way?
Hard to know for sure. I don't recommend splitting up on account of the trouble that you and Triss encountered last time. We went
dungeon crawling. Isn't this exciting? I mean, look at the walls and let's just choose the direction to go down it. I can't wait any longer.
I like how Torek eventually goes to Stewie Griffin when he gets excited.
I know. Yeah. I was slipping into it, wasn't I?
I'll tell you what then. Heads we go left, tails we go right.
Mm-hmm.
Left it is.
So, Rulin, you kind of lead off kind of this direction that you've chosen. And it seems that there's a slight kind of upwards gradient here to the road. And after a couple of 100 meters, you actually come across a what appears to be a kind of a natural exit to the surface, and you can kind of see that the kind of a very start of this road is in a real state of disrepair. You can actually see a kind of a discarded pickaxe and a few kind of woven baskets lying around, and then kind of parts of various bits of arch and stone that have clearly seen the attention of said pickaxe.
Well,
I think we found our friend's handiwork.
I believe you may be right.
Handiwork? Oh no.
So, Torek, roll me a history check, please.
Avec plaisir.
I'm going to add a +5 to it, just for the hell of it. Oh, that is +16, so 28.
So as you kind of look at some of these kind of pillars, you pull out the rock that you'd kind of been given and kept, and you very quickly find where this is supposed to be, kind of where it was originally, and slot it together, and sure enough, the runes fit. It's not really enough to kind of fully complete this, but you can see that this is kind of the almost like a distance marking post that you often see on kind of Tildrache structures, kind of leading into things. Each pillar tends to kind of have ornate decorations, but there's usually kind of a numbered system to them. Which you're not entirely sure why they have them. Rumor, like the kind of working theory in academia, is that this was to kind of help builders tell which piece went where, but that's still not really been proven. But this is clearly one of those posts.
With it, me holding the rune in place, would mending be successful?
Yeah, so if you hold it there and cast mending, the kind of rock fuses back into position.
Awesome. I go. I signal to the others and go. Do you think we could get some more of those rune stones on this wall?
I'm going to
Might
go
give
back
us
and
an
grab
idea
the
what's here.
basket. Oh, well, grab the runes. I'm going to put them in my basket just to make sure they don't fall out. And, you know, don't have to get a chance to use the basket.
Yep, so see who said these magic items were worthless, eh? So you collect these. It takes you a few minutes to kind of get there, collect them, and get back. You can see Torek is kind of again just poring over these ruins. But you kind of arrive, and Torek, you see that Triss has kind of got a significant quantity of these things. You don't know how many this bloke had sold, but you think you could at least mostly complete this kind of one pillar on the roadside.
Excellent. After I've reassembled it, do the readings make any sense?
So the readings actually list a date, and it's a date. The concept it's a very different calendar from the one currently in use, but with your kind of background studies, you kind of estimate it to be probably about 5,000 years before the end of kind of Tildreish civilization. And then kind of above that, you can see a few carvings of what seems to be a ritualistic nature.
Tarek, what is it?
It's a calendar. See, look here. That number represents the number of blood moons that have gone by. That's how they measured time, instead of the cycling of the sun. And I estimate that this dated back to, like, scribbles in his book for about 5 seconds before looking up and going, 5,000 years before they went extinct. What could it mean?
So whilst you're doing this, Tarek, kind of Havel and Rulin, you can see that this kind of hole above you is a kind of rudimentary ladder leading to it. However, this hole looks to be more it seems older. The hole's been there longer rather than the kind of collapse that led you into this compound. It's clear that this is something that this poor bloke stumbled across, and not really knowing what it was, kind of thought he could maybe make a quick bit of cash off of it.
Does the ladder look stable?
Yeah, it's made of some pretty solid wood, and it's bound by thick kind of rope.
Shall we take a look, Havel?
Ooh, yes.
So where does the ladder lead?
It just leads out into a hole in the ground, leading you back to the kind of forest floor.
All right, so it's not leading. All right, sorry. When you said that, like the same hole we came down.
Oh no, sorry. It's kind of leading up out of the complex rather than further into it.
Right. Okay.
Oh, it's still good to get an idea of what it looks like inside, I guess. So yeah, I'd have a wander up just to see where it leads out, if anything. How far it is.
So you you kind of take a quick look out, and sure enough, you are kind of back into the forest, but you are a bit deeper now. It seems, kind of having been able to maintain a knowledge of kind of your northern direction and counting out your steps. You estimate that you're probably now about just over 1 kilometer from the road you left.
And is there anything on the outside where it's come out, like, you know, any symbols, any signs, any?
No, this bit
like
seems to be that the kind of a top layer of stones and all that, kind of the archway, kind of closest to this hole, have nothing but kind of topsoil covering them. As you kind of look above and below, you can see that the trees above, you can actually kind of see their root networks holding a lot of this dirt in place. But it seems that there's been some time since this complex was overgrown.
Well, guess I'll travel back down if there's nothing else up there.
Okay, so you come back down to see Torek kind of finishing his history lesson to Triss. He's clearly very excited by this, and his notebook is out, and his hands are moving very quickly.
Shall we take a look back down the other way?
Yeah, can do.
While we wait for Tarek to finish his notes.
So yeah, you guys kind of leave him to it. He's clearly happy in his studies. And as you go back down, you kind of take a cursory glance at this chap, and he seems to be breathing a bit easier now. He's still kind of out cold. But the kind of series of arches lead you a little further down. And as you follow them, you see more of these kind of scenes carved into the rock. And after about 200-300 meters, you kind of come to this larger building, or at least it looks as if it was once a larger building. Parts of the walls have now collapsed, but there's definitely a large kind of square structure here, and the road seems to end here. And you are, at this point, still underground. And it seems that at the end of this, there is a kind of a large kind of monument of sorts. Kind of both kind of pictographs and kind of symbols, as well as your usual kind of lettering and script.
So does it look like this place was once above ground and it's just been overgrown, or was it built underground?
Roll me a nature check.
Nature. 16.
From the way the kind of architecture looks like it was at one point a kind of tall domed building, you suspect that it was built above ground, and over time kind of the accumulation of topsoil and the growth of plants has kind of cracked the kind of topmost dome of this structure, causing kind of the ruins you see now and it to remain underground. You suspect if you were above ground, you would see like a small hillock where this kind of section of the tunnel is, due to the high roof.
Well, I think we should wait for Torek. I don't think he'd forgive us if we explored any further without him.
So, Torek, you kind of finish up explaining to Triss. She doesn't seem that interested, but you have gone now into significant detail about the Tildraci calendar.
And you see, the second part of their calendar goes into the cycle of their mating season, and let me tell you about that. Go back! Did you find anything?
Oh, yes. Something you'll be very interested in.
Take me to it, take me to it, take me to it, take me to it!
So, Rule and Havel, Torek, they lead you down this road. You don't even bother checking on this guy. You're too excited. And they kind of take you to this large room. And the immediate thing that strikes you is how the kind of monument in front of you now makes the kind of post you were exploring seem like asinine and just completely irrelevant in comparison. This is a kind of wall-sized recording of a what seems to be an important part of Tildraci history. So roll me a history check, please.
$16.
So you quite quickly kind of identify the main kind of sections of this, and the kind of pictographs seem to paint an image of the Tildraci kind of mining something of quite apparently great importance to them. The top left quarter of this seems to be a kind of a detailed account of the vast mining operations that were carried out in search of this resource. Kind of beneath that, it shows and kind of tells of the processes of how these kind of masons and mages kind of shaped and processed this material kind of from its ore. On the right, kind of in the top, you can see that this these Tildraci kind of almost kind of reverently gathering around what appears to be a kind of a cube of some sorts, kind of rays of light illuminating it from it. And the final picture seems to be a little map, of which are a few kind of small dots and then one larger central kind of point of interest. The one word keeps on coming up in particular. It seems to be the word Hibonite.
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 Hibonite. Has anyone ever heard of that? Anyone here a geologist? I mean,
how long have you been in?
Frantic
Have any
scribble.
of us heard of it?
Yeah.
That would be a no.
So that seems to be something that keeps on cropping up. And the map, kind of the main thing it's pointing to is actually kind of up in Nordhammer, or modern Nordhammer anyway. And it's kind of in the middle of a kind of fairly non-distinct mountain range, kind of somewhere in between Helond and Ivralis here. It doesn't, however, give you any specific mention of what that kind of symbol actually is.
If Triss comes along and casts the ritual Identify and focuses particularly on the words and whatever it is they seem to be mining, does she get a more clear answer of what any of this?
You can't really identify things based off a word or a concept. It has to really be an item.
Yeah.
Just, I think, otherwise you could really exploit that and make several loopholes. But
So looking over some of my old notes, it seems the Tildraish had a series of stones.
Roll me a perception.
Okay, yes. Oh no.
Carry on with what you're saying.
That was a -1.
It makes sense. You are obviously in the midst of a great discovery here, so you're probably not going to be.
Yeah, I was about to say, my old notes speak of the Tildraish having a series of stone. And you remember those inscriptions we found on the fountain? It showed a series of stones and a big surge of energy to cast the ritual to bind this supposed goddess. So perhaps this site was built before their extinction event for the purpose of mining this material which was required for the ritual. Perhaps. It might be worth going into the deeper recesses of this cave to see if any material has survived.
Right.
So, Torek, there are no deeper recesses. This appears to be the end of the route, the kind of low arches leading down into this kind of one room that seems to be kind of the terminus.
Right. So no further than that. Either way, this place seemed to hold major significance. My current hypothesis is that it may have been the site to mine this precious Hibonite. And I cannot confirm it without further details.
Does it seem to us like there's any other purpose for this room other than like the artwork that's on the wall?
Triss, I want you to roll me a perception, please.
Okay.
So you kind of suspect that this wall. I mean, it's a nice wall, but like, is that really what they built this for? But you kind of look around and can't seem to see anything here. The room is bare of any furniture. If it had any wooden stuff, it's long since rotted. But you see nothing.
Nice wall, but it seems a bit pointless having all of this around, all of these arches, and going to all of that effort just for this. But I don't know. I'm not an expert.
So just to clarify as well, are we in the domed structure?
Yes.
Yeah. Is there anything up on the ceiling?
So you kind of look up and you can kind of see that lots of the original dome has long since fallen through to the ground. Kind of what survives seems to be kind of architectural in nature. There for the structural integrity of the building.
I was expecting maybe a Sistine Chapel kind of thing.
No such luck. It is kind of plain worked stone.
Well, have we learned everything there is to learn?
I don't know. Feels like there should be more here. And I'm gonna like pace up and down the area, just making sketches, maybe going back to the arch and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Torek, as you kind of pace up and down the room, you kind of cast your gaze around and start taking sketches. You kind of look to the ceiling and start taking notes. You don't really stop pacing. And as you go, you kind of trip over a pile of rubble that's kind of lying in front of you. And you kind of land really quite hard. So you're going to take a D4's worth of bludgeoning damage from the floor.
Ouch.
2 points of damage as you kind of knock your kind of head straight against it. How electricity hits the ground, you hear quite a dull, hollow thunk. May well have been his head.
Oh, I said, ow, I'm hurt over here.
Triss is going to wander across to Torek and just gently, with like the tips of her fingers, just tap his head just to see if it makes the same noise. And then she's going to knock on the floor.
So you kind of knock on Torek's head.
Yes, that is indeed where I hit myself.
Yep. You kind of aggravate the kind of quickly swelling bruise that seems to be forming. But other than Torek's protests, you kind of don't really hear the noise. But as you kind of wrap your knuckles on the stone floor, it does seem to be a kind of dull thud that kind of sounds a bit different to the rest of the room.
Hey, looks like we might have something. Anybody any good with traps? Things? She's going to stare really pointedly at Havel. Well, the hidden rooms. I don't know. How do we get down there? Havel, you're stuff like this, aren't you? You're good at tracking things.
I mean, we could just break the floor.
Don't say that too loud. We're next to Torek. Sheesh.
It's only a floor.
A direct approach, eh? Is there any murals on the floor?
No, it's more of this flagstone.
Am I still muted? Actually, I don't know.
Nope,
No, I'm not. We're fine. Very good. Yeah, except before I just randomly ask a question, no one can hear. I'll have a quick look. Is there anything immediately kind of obvious that would make it seem like, it is a trapdoor that you could open elsewhere? If that makes sense, Is there anything in the surrounding area?
You can't see any kind of notches or grooves for any kind of mechanisms to run on the surrounding flagstones.
Cool. Yeah, so we just break it. Smash it, yo.
Okay, so you aren't really spoilt for choice in things to break it with, but you do find kind of the smashed remains, like a good chunk of kind of archway, which is a fairly sizable chunk of stone. So you kind of lug that over to this floor and kind of gesture for Torek to move aside.
Rulin quickly glances at his pack when he remembers that he's got a crowbar, but let's Havel carry on anyway.
So Havel, you kind of raise this above your head and kind of slam it down. You can see immediately kind of cracks kind of start to shoot out from the impacts, and kind of spurred on by this, you kind of give it a few more blows. And kind of on the fourth strike, the floor tile just gives out. The stones kind of fall away into a cavity below.
Well, Rulin
there we go. 1-0.
Rulin will
Guess it
hold his
works.
spear over the hole to try and shed some light down.
So, Rulin, as you lower the spear and the light kind of emanates, you can see that kind of below, it's only a 10-foot drop or so down to this chamber. But you can see kind of a couple of statues kind of lining the side wall. Seemingly, they look like kind of bronze cast figures of clergy of some description. You can see a very ornate looking chest at the other end of this kind of room. Seems to be like the kind of main feature.
Have we got any incense to burn this time?
Be any kind of sorts of incense bags?
Not going to spend fucking half an hour figuring out.
Fucking up the world.
Half an hour figuring out it was just a free prize and fucking up the world. 10-foot drop. Havel will pop down.
Yep, so you kind of lower yourself down the side of this and then kind of drop down into the room. And you can see that this clearly wasn't a room that served any real purpose. It seems to be like a little hidden storage area. From the looks of it, it's not really big enough to have served a practical use other than to contain these statues in this chest.
Okay, and looking at the statues, do they resemble anything we've seen before, like the ones that were in that previous temple, or?
They're largely humanoid, and it seems that they're kind of hooded and robed. They're all kind of facing inwards.
Oh, double no.
Okay.
Do they show snake-like features, or are they?
You're not in the room.
Oh, okay.
Give it time.
You can be in the room if you would like to be in the room.
I enter the room.
So, Torek, you follow Havel down, and kind of from your lower vantage point, you get a better view under the hoods, and you can see that these bear the kind of reptilian features you would expect to see on a Tildrache. Not too dissimilar, but obviously a lot fuller than that mummy that you discovered in the Hydra lair.
Rulin will hop down to shed some more light on everything.
Mm-hmm. So as you bring the spear further into the room, it kind of illuminates it. It's probably only about 15 feet squared. It's not a huge space.
Havel's going to have a quick look. Does it look like immediately, is there anything like traps, as it were, with it being a hidden room. Can I see anything?
Roll me a perception.
Uh-oh.
Who's ready for amazing? Oh, that's a 7.
So you look around the room, and the only difference you could notice is that whilst the room above you was kind of worked in smooth stone, the walls and ceiling here seem to be plaster.
Oh, I will stroll over to the big chest.
Mm-hmm. So you make your way over, and you can see that this is clearly a very, very old chest. However, that being said, the locking mechanism is incredibly ornate, very delicate, and seemingly with kind of many different facets to it. From what you can tell just from looking at the exterior, this was a strong box, clearly designed to kind of resist attempts to open it by force.
Oh, cool. So I'm not just gonna open it. All right, I'll be turn to Torek and be like, I think this one's for you.
Yes, I think you may just be correct there. Is it similar to my box?
This seems to be a much more complex version. But there are a number of similarities.
How big is it?
This one, it's probably about a meter wide by about kind of half a meter in kind of front to back, and then about 45 centimeters tall.
Oh my. If I wasn't so worried about you crumbling to dust, I'd hug you. Oh my god. I immediately get to work just scrawling, like copying all the symbols on every face of it, and applying any knowledge I knew of my old box onto it to see if I can get it open.
So you take these notes down, careful obviously not to do any real damage to it when you're kind of taking some rubbings. It seems that the kind of decorations on this are in a similar way astronomical to your smaller box. However, these bear different constellations than your previous one. You think you might know roughly how the locking mechanism works. However, you try the kind of the same combination of twists and turns that you used on your previous one, and you have no luck on that.
I feel I'm going to need more time with this thing.
It's an excuse to talk, that's all.
Do you think we can stay here overnight, perhaps, or take it with us?
I mean, it's not exactly a small box. Could be heavy as hell as well. We don't know.
Rulin and Havel maybe try and lift it together.
Both of you roll me strength saving throws. Well, actually, I suppose lifting would be athletics. Let's go with that.
Oh, you're being nice to me now.
So just an athletics check then.
Yeah.
13, flat 13.
What's mine? 9 plus 5, 14.
So the two of you kind of take a side of this each, and you strain, and it's definitely going to be possible to move it. It's not bolted to anything by the looks of it, but it is very heavy. You don't think you'd be comfortable carrying this long distances, or at least you wouldn't be able to do so quickly.
I think we'll set his side of it down. Torek, if you can't open it here, then
Kiki won't opening it.
Yeah, we to carry it up and out of this hatch and then up and out of through the caves. It wouldn't really be feasible.
How heavy would you say it would have been? Would you say 500-ish pounds?
Well, I was thinking more in the weight of kilograms. Let me quickly convert that.
Not asking for the purpose of a spell or anything.
So I would say that this is probably about 250 pounds in total. It's reasonably heavy, but it is, movable by 2 people.
All right, I think I can get this thing up and out of here, but moving it, after that is going to be tough. I could probably only lift it up for 10 minutes or so.
Right.
What'd you say? If I get it out the hole, would that be all right?
Nope.
Well, I mean, how are we going to get it anywhere, though? Can anyone's horse feasibly carry it on top of them?
As much as it pains me to say, I'd be willing to drag it behind a horse.
I mean, we were planning on making camp for the night. We can have
Yeah, you've got an entire
a few hours to work over it and see if you can open it then.
Thank you. I'll get to work immediately. And that's all Torik's going to be doing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so the rest of you kind of see that Torik is now very much in his element and focusing on kind of a task at hand of kind of figuring what it is that makes this mechanism tick.
Roland's going to take the time as well to try and build some sort of stretcher that will carry the guy on.
Sure. So there's not much in terms of material around you, but obviously the forest is above you and accessible in terms of raw resources such as wood and things like that.
Maybe some vines to make like a mesh that we could string between the wood to carry him on.
Yeah, there's definitely kind of plant material that would be suitable. So as you go looking for them, you don't really have to go too far. It's quite a varied forest in terms of wildlife there, and it takes you about half an hour to kind of source what you think you need for a decent stretcher. Putting it together then, takes another 10 minutes, but it's not too hard a task. So, Braxton, what are you doing during all of this? Have you kind of gone down with them? Are you staying with the wounded man? What's the...
When everyone went down, Braxton stayed with the wounded man. He doesn't understand really what they're looking at and what they're excited about, so he was in no rush to follow him down. I think throughout the night he'll be trying to sort of... Well, originally he was going to ask Torik, but Torik's a bit preoccupied. But ask about what's going on, basically.
So you'd be able to kind of get filled in from one of the others as to what's happening. It'd be obviously news to you, having not really had any in fact, any exposure to kind of the Tildreish or the kind of the discoveries that the party have made. So maybe you could have a bit of a back briefing from Triss while the others are kind of getting stretchers ready or examining the box. But I think, for the sake of having to get the entire campaign explained to you, we'll just say that, Triss fills you in over the course of half an hour or something.
Yeah.
So you get kind of caught roughly up to speed with that. Now, Torek, I want you to roll me an Arcana.
That'd be a 13.
So as you've kind of been messing around with this box, you kind of start to get the impression that there's some magic at work here, like something has been applied to this box. You're not 100% sure what.
Ooh. Maybe it's similar to what I did to my own box, and I sealed it with a word. I try the Tildreish word for open.
So you speak this word. Your pronunciation is a bit stuttering at first. Obviously, it's not a language that anybody really knows how the words were actually pronounced, having died out long before the kind of tongues of the present era. But as you say this, the box remains kind of staunchly locked.
Further tests required. Password 1. Yes.
So the rest of you kind of watch as Tarek starts kind of speaking this kind of archaic language at the box to no real effect.
Rulin will turn to Tarek and say, "What's the Tildreish word for friend?"
Oh dear.
Anyone?
Melon.
Havel is just gonna pipe up and be like, didn't you say this was like thousands of years before the fall of the Tildreish?
Crispy, there's a bit of interference.
Oh, let me fix it.
I estimate it to be about 4,500 to 5,200 years before Y.
Oh, just before they fell, didn't they used to worship Kofdara? And in the last place we saw pictures of hooded people, that there was a statue of her.
True. Very true. Do you think
If you know the word,
well,
try.
Does Koftora even get pronounced differently?
You don't know. Again, the linguistics, it's very hard to kind of gauge whether you're pronouncing anything right when you have no
in the
idea
name
what
of
it sounds
Koftora,
open. So the lock remains firmly in place.
Nice guess there, Abel. But as we but no spaghetti this time. No coriander soup, as we know to say.
This lockbox is kind of still defying your best efforts here, Tarek.
Right, I'll give.
Yeah, the others have kind of started to set up camp, so it's not like you're in a huge rush.
Yeah, I guess I'll do what any good student would do: pull an all-nighter out on it, and if that doesn't work, I'll try and blast it open.
Mm-hmm. So, Rulin, I'm guessing you've probably moved the kind of the injured man into this kind of main complex here.
Yeah, just for the night.
Just while you guys are camping out there. Okay, cool. So you, with Braxton's help, managed to maneuver him in such a way that doesn't risk the setting of his leg, and you carefully take the time to move him as best as you can. He doesn't let out any cries of pain or show any signs of kind of negative impact of this. But you lay him out somewhere kind of out of a way where he's going to be able to just kind of lie safely for the night. But yeah, so you guys now are kind of in this main room, kind of watching Torek down below as he vigorously studies this lockbox. So Torek, you kind of notice now the locking mechanism is clearly kind of leaps and bounds ahead of what was in your smaller lockbox.
Yeah, it's pretty troubling.
So,
Do you have any of those explosive arrows left?
No, they've all gone.
Oh,
I wouldn't think using such a thing in this kind of enclosed space would be a great idea, Torek.
I have an idea. Is the box still in that separate room? Or
Yeah, it's still down in that kind of smaller room.
Okay, I wouldn't mind going to have a look at it, and I'm just going to ask Torek if he'd mind stepping away for a moment.
for you? Sure.
So Triss, you kind of boost Torek out of the room, kind of leaving you to kind of have at this box.
Okay, I'm going to get some eyeball on it.
Mm-hmm. So as you kind of reveal the eye, it kind of flickers open. And you kind of feel a by now familiar but still kind of uncomfortable sensation as it kind of casts its gaze left and right. It takes in the statues around it, and then kind of settles on its chest. And as the image projected into your mind kind of plays out, you can see that there is definitely some kind of aura surrounding this box of an arcane nature.
Doesn't give me any more kind of clues about anything else.
No, it doesn't. Just that there is magical power emanating from the box.
Oh, super. I might just do a bit of an identify ritual on it. Get any more information that way.
So you set out this kind of this ritual of yours, and you take the time to complete it. It appears that this box has some sort of a containment field.
Maybe we don't want to open it. Perhaps. I'll shout for Torek to come back down and just let him know that maybe, yeah, we've got to be careful. There's a containment field.
Containment field just means that whoever built this didn't want us to access it. Honestly, if you'd be one of those people who saw the traps in the pyramids of, I've got to think of a D&D representative now. Anyway, the pyramids of the Southerners, and would have just been like, oh no, we should leave it. No. What you're saying is blasphemy against science, I must admit.
All right. Yeah.
Anyway, that's my view. I mean, yeah, we should probably get everyone else's opinion, I guess.
So the rest of you can kind of hear Triss and Torek arguing about it. I mean, it wouldn't be... You're not too far away, you would hear what they're saying.
Well, Rilla will shout down to them. Is there any indication of what the box even contains? I mean, there's no sign of any warnings in the room on any of the statues or any writing or even on the box itself?
The box is similar to the one that I have spent the last few years with that I had lost. It has a containment field on it, and Triss is getting cold feet about opening it.
Well, if it's like the box you were carrying, may have some importance. It's not something we should necessarily leave as it is, but I am a little bit nervous about opening it.
Agreed. I mean, could be that it's just empty again.
Well, still sealed with magic. Be unlikely. The question is, even if you could open it, well, that is the question, I suppose. How would you open it?
Well, I can, like I say, I can stay up all night and try and open it the traditional way. If that fails, we can try a crowbar on it in the morning, or some pyrotechnics in the lock mechanism.
Well, by all means.
Crispy,
Mm-hmm.
can I do like an investigation check or something in the room to see whether there's any kind of pointers or hint in the room or on the box actually as well, or on the statues, just kind of anything in the vicinity that gives any indication of what's going on in the box?
Yes, you can roll me an investigation.
That's 10.
Triss, you don't really see anything in the room. However, you can see that the lockbox kind of contain the constellations on it seem to be missing a star.
Do I know which star that is?
Probably not. Astronomy isn't really your thing. All you know is there's just the ever so slightest indentation where it might once have been, or where something might have been on the box.
Hey, Tarek, what's your astronomy like?
Who did this?
Oh, my astronomy? It's it's okay. Why? I'm more of a historian.
The star that's supposed to go somewhere around here, what is it?
But since when have they?
I take a closer look and
Revenge for what?
yeah, an indent.
So, Torek, the constellation in question is kind of known as the Great Serpent, and the star in question is
Its head.
the star that makes up its eye.
Wasn't
Oh, right. Oh, I thought it was going to be like the someone cut off the head of the serpent kind of thing. Okay.
Just check. Oh, that's not Rulin's not even in the room. Never mind.
I'm going to. It may be that there's a key to this box, and could I look around the room to see if there is anything in this room that would fit that?
Roll me, now that you kind of know roughly what you're looking for, roll me with advantage and investigation.
Cool. Flash of Genius added as well, +5.
We should never have gone to Edinburgh.
Cool, that's 27.
So as you kind of look around the room, you take a closer look at the statues, and 3 of them kind of are looking forward with their eyes open. The 4th, however, seems to be winking. You kind of look at it. Seems that the eyelid is it's possible to move it.
But we needed to do right south.
Ooh, very nice. I take out of my pack. There's a crowbar that's apparently meant to be my signature item.
So I think I can guess where you're going with this. So you prise the crowbar kind of underneath this eyelid and kind of apply your weight to it. And as it kind of lifts the eyelid, kind of in place of the bronze eyes the other statues possess, lies a tiny little a gem of quartz, similar to the stars on the lockbox.
Before we do anything else, I'm going to yell, see what's going on.
You're going to yell what, sorry?
While Torik's clearly finding something, I'm just going to yell to get everyone to come down so they know that something's happening. See, if we're getting into it, I kind of want everyone else to be aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll come down after she starts yammering.
Yeah, Ruin will drop down.
Yeah. Okay. So with everybody now assembled, Torik, you kind of show them this kind of tiny. I mean, even for a gnome, your hands look quite big compared to this little kind of stud of a gem.
Right, I think this might be a key mechanism to the box. We may have just cracked it.
Mm-hmm.
Whose god did I just rip out the eye to?
It doesn't look like a god. It just looks like a priest.
A winking priest.
So now that I'm down here, now that Torik's pointed things out, Ruin casts his mind back again to the previous temple. There was a constellation to one of the gods. I think, was it Ditryus, the serpent god? Or like the serpentine statue? Is there any relevance to that?
You kind of compare the two, and it does appear to be the same constellation.
I recognize this. I made the offering of incense to the statue back in the temple. This constellation is, I believe, identical. Could be this is a shrine to Ditryus, perhaps, the god of prosperity and peace.
Well, then it's decided. If it's his box, then what could it hold? Couldn't be anything bad.
Okay, so Torik, as you kind of place this gem ever so carefully in the indentation, you kind of hear the whirring of fine mechanical parts, and then a series of kind of soft clicks, and kind of the clasps around the edge of this box kind of spring loose.
Ooh, thank God I didn't try and blast it open.
God.
I go to open the box.
Mm-hmm. So as you lift this lid, kind of what's revealed inside is that the box is kind of divided into three sections, each of which seem to be kind of full of small slab-like things. Maybe think that the size of perhaps iPhones, potentially that kind of size, stacked upon each other, of a kind of a strange gemstone of a yellowish color.
Hibonite, I dare say.
So, Torik, as you kind of take one from the top and examine it, you can see that this is kind of the same material that the Tildrache kind of used as the keystones. It has that kind of yellowish tint to it. it seems that the material held an incredible importance to the Drildreich for its magical elements. And whilst they're kind of crafted into smaller tablets, there's still a substantial amount of this here. Have a roll me a wisdom saving throw. Guy?
You said Havel.
Did I? Oh, sorry. I don't know why I said that.
I thought you said however. Yeah.
That's what I.
Oh, I thought you said Havel.
No,
wisdom saving throw. I was like, oh god, I've killed him.
No, I need you to roll me a wisdom saving throw if you would.
Of every time.
15.
So as you're examining this, you kind of start to notice a real wave of heat emanating from this box. And as you look down and kind of touch the remaining pile, you can sense that these tablets are starting to warm up at an alarming rate.
Close the box, quick. I throw the tablet back in and then close the box.
Mm-hmm. So you close the box.
It's like East Anglia's just made that mistake.
It's hard to really tell what's going on inside there now.
Okay. It seems that they're highly reactive. Looking through a spell list, nothing is useful.
Was it just the box that was warming up, or was it the one?
It was the. So, from Torik's kind of exclamation, you kind of gather that the gemstones and material inside was heating up pretty quick.
But there was the one in his hand heating up.
The one in his hands wasn't heating up as quickly.
Oh. Okay, let's open the box again and try and throw as many out as possible. Who's with me?
Maybe it's like pistachio nuts. They're fine on their own, but if you get too many in the same place, they can set on fire.
I was literally just the way it's split into 3 parts made me think of uranium and the control rods. That's kind of what I thought was going down.
Rulin will pick one of them out and try and like hot potato it out of the box.
So Rulin, as you kind of open the box, you can see that these things are now kind of glowing a bit more intensely. As you reach down and kind of grab one, it is kind of very hot to the touch. Not like kind of to a point where you wouldn't be able to kind of gently pick it out and quickly transfer it between hands, but it's very, very hot. So as you're doing this, Torik, you kind of watch closely and can see that the remaining kind of tablets are still heating quite quickly. It seems having the lid open seems to invalidate whatever containment field is in this box.
Oh, okay, so we concluded that once the box is closed, they're not heating.
It seems that it offers some sort of control mechanism, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we did you throw one out, did you say?
Yeah, Rulin's kind of in the process of kind of hot potatoing this one here.
Just like places it on the floor because I guess to stop it burning.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna call for him to close the box again, and I'm gonna do a quick experiment with the one on the floor to see if I can slow down its reaction rate.
Okay, so Tori, you examine this thing. And it does seem to be cooling, being kind of placed on the stone floor deep in the earth. Is transferring a lot of the heat. So you leave it for a while, but it's still. Whilst it does stop being overly hot, it remains at kind of almost body temperature.
That is curious.
So
I'm gonna take my my magic glove and gonna try and like absorb elements it to see just like how much energy this thing is giving off, kind of thing.
Okay, so you
And see if that slows its heating down.
you kind of activate the glove and try and run this analysis, and you can see the device kind of does itself start to heat up as it absorbs this element. You don't know what exactly about this, what properties cause it to heat up, but kind of as more heat is transferred to the gauntlet, kind of less heat remains in this tablet.
Okay. So these things are like massive energy batteries. Their energy is finite. They are not of themselves giving off thermodynamical properties. They are simply transferring a large amount of heat from them, and they were being held in these containment fields, which stopped them giving off their heat. Eureka! I've done it again.
right. So after Rulin briefly handled one of the tablets, then based on how many tablets are in the box, would it appear that they are the weight of the box, or is it the box itself is actually quite heavy?
So it seems like the kind of majority of the weight comes from these stone tablets.
Okay. Well, transporting these would be quite difficult for us, I think, Torek. We can't carry them on our persons; they'd be too hot. But carrying them in the chest would be quite difficult, also.
Right. Maybe we could empty a few of them out and lighten the load, so to speak. Though, once we have emptied them out, maybe we should like hide them or absorb the energy as much as we can. Maybe I could. And I look to Yendorn's purple powder and just like thinking if I could put more energy into them.
I'm not sure where you're going with this, but okay.
So what are you wanting to do then, Torek? Take more out?
Well, if it means that we can transport half of them, then yes, absolutely. I think, who can we trust? Aquiniel? We could leave them with Aquiniel for research. And continue on our way.
For a few days, well, at least a day's travel, I think, away, aren't we? Or how long have we been going for?
We could send Titus back with them.
Titus didn't come with us, did he?
No, he didn't. Titus stayed.
Balls.
Yeah, you guys were a couple of days away from Keremwin now.
I mean, we can take one with us and leave the rest to be collected, I suppose.
I mean, yeah, there's no point not taking the one we've just removed from the box. However, I was concerned that their properties of holding magic or arcane or temperature energies, it seems, is the precious part to them.
Right.
The energy that's being held in the containment field in the box might be what's precious here. We can't be sure.
Rulin's nodding along with Tarek, but this is just completely going over his head.
Think about it like this. If you had a lot of apples in a box, stopping them from rotting, they'd still be good. But as soon as you take them out, they'll rot more quickly and become worthless pretty quickly. That might be the case with these bars.
So would it not be better to leave them in the box until we return with a cart, perhaps?
Yes, I think that would be best. Until then, maybe we should hide this thing.
Well, it's fairly well hidden as it is, I think.
Yeah, it is. Ooh! Brilliant. Torek, you've done it again. I'm going to rip out the gemmed eye on the of the snake, and I'm going to pocket it.
Okay. So you kind of close the lid on this box and take the gem out, and sure enough, the kind of seals snap back into place with a kind of soft mechanical whir, leaving you with the kind of one bar in your possession, Torek. Although your glove is still quite toasty warm, it seems to be kind of heated now. Useful if you were to ever go into any cold climates, perhaps.
Yeah, we have been in such an encounter before. Remember when we got stuck in the igloo, Triss? You remember the igloo?
Keep a few of those on you, maybe. Crispy, if I cast Identify, do I have to touch the item?
You do.
If I try and touch it, does it burn my hand?
I think the one we have has cooled down.
So Triss, you cast, you kind of go up to Torek and kind of take this from him, and as he says, it has cooled to the point where it's kind of like a comfortable temperature to hold now. And you go to cast Identify, and you kind of lay out the ritual as you have previously. However, when you cast Identify, nothing happens.
Oh my god, I think I know what just happened. I'm going to take the bar and I'm going to try and cast the stored spell of Identify on the statue.
So you try and you grab this bar back off Triss and go and try to invoke something from it. Yet nothing happens either.
Damn, I thought it absorbed the magical energy and then it could be expelled later. Damn, that's a shame. That would have been rather awesome.
So it's sucking away your magic?
Maybe it takes in magic and expels it as thermal heat. If so, this could be groundbreaking in the field of alchemy.
Torek, it does still feel at the kind of same temperature even after Triss's attempt to cast.
Does it just have an anti-magic field on?
Anti-magic field. That would suggest that there's an anti-magic field over all of them. I don't know. The anti-magic fields are usually quite powerful magic, but it's possible.
Story will be returned to you safely.
Just trying to think. Can I roll Arcana to try and understand this interaction?
Yes, you can.
That's cool. 24.
You can tell that this stone doesn't really have any magical abilities of itself. However, it does seem to have potentially interrupted whatever is causing Triss to have magical powers.
Okay, so I think we're getting this the wrong way round.
Tarek, maybe you need to try casting, and I'll just back away.
I mean, I can try it, but if my current hypothesis is correct, I doubt it'll have an effect. What spell should I try?
I'm not sure. Or I could try looking at it with the eye.
Your eye. That's good.
That's also a possibility. My thoughts are that this isn't a magical item. This is an anti-magical item.
Nothing else.
Yeah, well, I was wondering whether it was more of a warlock issue or a magic issue, which was why I was going to ask you to look at it.
I'm going to try and minor illusion it to turn it a different color.
Okay, so Tarek, you kind of hold this thing in your hand and kind of work your magic on it, and it goes green.
Ah. Well, it seems to not have much effect with gnomish magic.
Yeah, I want to eyeball this. Do you want to step away so I don't zap you?
Does your eye zap?
Rulin will take the opportunity to turn to Braxton and say, "We should step out of the room while she does this. It's a bit unusual, but it's better to stay back."
Yeah, Havel's going to jump out the hole.
That's going to sound strange out of context.
Oh,
I'm
I
going to
love
eyeball
that.
this thing.
Oh, that sounds fun. That like how Braxton would never learn about the eyeball, but we always just refer to it as thus. We're a weird
I
party,
guess we
man.
never discussed the things that we shouldn't discuss around Braxton, but maybe that's one until we get an idea of if we can trust him.
I think this one is, fairly clear. It's fairly cut and dry that this isn't really the ordinary stuff.
Yeah. Don't know. Well, based on his religion, we don't know how he'd react to Triss potentially having a demon eyeball in her belly. Huh?
Let's face it, Triss is a low-key monster at this stage. She made that guy run off just by, talking to his brain. Heck knows what would happen with someone who's basically a stranger.
And I love how you say talk to someone's brain like that's just... It's as simple as putting on a hat, really.
Well, to be fair, usually it's as blasé as tuning into radio someone, so it's like we kind of brush over how she is just kind of working away into someone's subconscious mind. But yeah, you kind of you shepherd Braxton out of the room and kind of leave Triss with this kind of block sat on the floor.
Let's have a look at it then.
Okay, so Triss, roll Constitution saving throw.
Okay. But I think this is 0. Yes, that's just 10.
So as you open the eye, kind of the rest of the room is in the usual kind of monotone colours you're used to from looking with the eye, but this block is just emitting an absolutely blinding light. The eye kind of slams closed of its own accord, and you kind of feel like almost like a hammer blow hit you kind of psychically, to the point where you actually end up kind of slumping down to your knees. There's like just something somewhere is just filling your mind full of like painful, aggressive static. It takes you a few minutes before you're able to kind of control your movements and thoughts again.
I'm done. Tarek, take that damn thing back.
Oh, you look a little worse for wear. Turns out your hypothesis was correct this time. Well done. Well, very well done.
It's the second time.
Yeah, it doesn't like me. I'm not really a huge fan of it.
No, you use the magic of something that is not of this plane. So perhaps this metal has a property in which it inhibits or distorts the magic of those from beyond our realm. It's very possible.
What again?
This could have come in very useful against the beholder.
Oh, you leave us.
It strikes me that a shield made of this would be very potent against outer entities.
I would really much rather have nothing to do with it. Just cards on the table.
So the rest of you now, you can kind of hear the conversation. You realise that whatever Triss was doing, she has now done.
Well, I suppose You could ask Gwenil to help you study it, and as I said, hopefully when we return from Eventide, we can bring a cart with us, perhaps, and lug the rest of it back to Cairn.
Indeed. Well then, I've got the key for it, so no one would be able to open it. Or they'd have to try very, very hard to open it. And if they do, they're not getting the magical energy. They would get the metal, but... do you think it's worth hiding it, in addition to taking the key?
We can try and cover the hole that we broke open, maybe?
Body.
Yes.
Well, that his illness does not tie him to his bed shows the strength of my brain.
Yeah, that might work.
Okay, so as you two hop out of the kind of smaller room, Tarek, you kind of go about mending this flagstone that covered the gap, and when you're done, you slide it back into place. And if you didn't really know what you were looking for, you wouldn't see that it was a kind of a false floor.
Well, it's as it was before. We nearly didn't see it, so unless someone came here really knowing what they were looking for. Plus, if we come back round and it's gone, then, you know, the chase can begin, because they couldn't have gone far. I feel good about this.
Okay. So, you guys, by now it's getting quite late, so it's probably time to think about going to get some sleep. But, Torek, you've obviously got a lot to think about. Many hypotheses, etc. So as the others kind of start bedding down, you take an hour or two longer and kind of let the thoughts whir until sleep does eventually claim you. Okay. So yeah, you guys, it's still underground, so you don't have to worry about setting up tents, etc. in here. So you wake up. Nothing has kind of disturbed you in the night. The kind of temple remains empty, and whilst it hasn't been a particularly comfortable place to sleep, you feel rested all the same.
I'll check on the injured man.
Rulin, as you approach the man and kind of bend down over it, it appears that he is not breathing.
Is he cold?
You kind of put your back of your hands to his neck, and it is cold, and there is no pulse.
Well, perhaps there wasn't much more we could have done for him. His injuries were grave. Ruin will tell the others that he's died in the night. Braxton, you are a man of faith. Is there a few words you could say?
Well, we barely knew the guy, but a fate such as this is not fitting of anybody, friend or foe. We wish the gods take him to a more enlightened place.
Don't really know where he's from, but we can bury him in the forest at least, maybe.
Mm-hmm. So the stretcher is kind of still under him, so it wouldn't be too hard to maneuver him up that ladder with all of you there.
And waste not, want not. While we're there, and you know he's dead. About as well as, rifle his persons and see if there's anything on him.
So, you kind of take a look through his pockets, and it seems that kind of rough clothes were a pretty good indicator. He has on his person about like 3 gold pieces and about 40 silver. Seems that when he saw you lot, he probably marked up the price that he'd been selling these things at. Seeing how you're kind of quite well equipped and riding horses. But there doesn't seem to be much else on him other than a small kind of crude pocket knife. The pickaxe you assume was his as well. And then the baskets that he'd kind of left at the entrance. But other than that, the kind of robes on him, or well, I say robes, the very tattered tunic and kind of short 5-length trousers that clearly seen better days seem to be the only things he had on him.
Have all the spite. Well, I mean, if you're going to kill a guy, Tris, can you at least make him a rich one?
Didn't mean to kill a guy. I just wanted to scare him a little bit.
Scare him to death?
Yeah, not that much. Scare him like maybe a quarter to death. Not all the way.
You are. Really
Now, to be fair,
Scare him to grievous bodily harm.
Now, to be fair, Tris, don't blame yourself. You don't know how horrifying you really are. You can't be blamed. You can't help it if you're some kind of horrifying, otherworldly monster, you know?
Braxton, this kind of sounds alarm bells. Having Triss obviously have her private moment earlier and now being described as some otherworldly monster.
Triss is just going to sigh and wander off.
Best defense.
Right. If we're quite done with that, we'll see to burying him.
So, kind of using his pickaxe to break the earth, and then between you managed to dig a reasonably shallow grave for him, which you kind of bury him in, leaving a bit of a mound to kind of mark his passing. It's not a glorious funeral, but it'll have to do given the circumstances.
Havel will say a few words. Like, here was a man we buried. Didn't know his name, where he came from. He sold rocks, and Triss killed him. The end.
Touching.
You're welcome. All right, let's move on.
So you guys kind of make your way back to the road after that kind of heart-rending eulogy from Havel there, and as you find it, you continue on your way, and I think that's where we'll probably leave it for tonight.
Yeah,
due to timings. But,
one NPC murder down.
Yeah, inadvertent murder hoboing.
Well, my manslaughter, I guess. But...
Chaz is going to be so upset when he finds out he's missed this.
Every time Chaz misses a session, someone dies.
So do we just put pictures up of someone else pressing F, or is that just poking fate in the eye again?
Yeah, I think we should leave it.
I'll find a picture of a random peasant and press F.
Use Torik's picture. We all know how well that works.
Oh no.
No, because otherwise Torek will die next session. Don't fuck with that shit.
Do not tempt the dice gods.
It was like 2 or 3 sessions between when we joked about it and they actually died, but yeah.